As a nation, the British have a love affair with Spain. 12 million people a year come to worship its sun-kissed shores. In this series, I want to find out what fascinates us about this country, and if there is more to Spain than meets the eye.
I'm amazed. I had absolutely no idea that this was here.
This will be a journey of discovery for me.
I did not expect this. Wow.
As I crisscross the country, longing to know more about it. Seeing its world-famous landmarks up close.
Awesome. Awesome. This is one of the places that everyone should see before they die.
And uncovering lesser-known sites.
You do literally feel transported.
As I experience this incredibly vibrant culture.
It's pretty mad, isn't it?
I think it's just one of those moments I'm never going to forget the whole of my life.
There's nothing like this anywhere in the world.
My Spanish adventure begins in the north of this magnificent country, a journey that will take me from the Rioja region, through the Basque Country to the city of Pamplona, finally arriving in Catalonia and the enchanting city of Barcelona. On my way, I'll experience the infamous running of the bulls.
That is one of the more insane things I've ever seen in my life.
And I'll become immersed in the drama of a truly inspiring Catalonian tradition.
This mad thing that actually means something. It's very, very moving.
My starting point is a region celebrated the world over for its vineyards, Rioja. This wine lover's paradise is only 2 hours south of the ports of Santander and Bilbao. Home to some of the finest vineyards in Europe, where every year 175 million bottles of wine are produced. Nestled in amongst the emerald vines, I'm visiting one of the oldest, most highly regarded wineries in the region, Marquès de Riscal. Founded in 1858, the wines produced here are exported to over 100 countries.
This is the first expansion of the company of the year 1883.
Carlos takes visitors on a tour of the winery.
So, well, this is the wine aging room for these three top wines. Everything here in French oak.
It smells delicious in here.
Is.
I want a perfume. I want to smell like this. It smells really delicious.
These historic cellars hold more than 37,000 barrels of wine. The subterranean vaults are where the vintage wines are stored, and where I'm being given rare access to what they call a cathedral of wine.
So we are in the original winery. This is the cathedral. What we call it here, the cathedral is the treasure of the winery. And inside here we have wine since the very beginning. Since 1862, it was the first wine put in bottle.
Oh my gosh, can I go in there?
Yeah, we are going to get inside.
Wow.
This is my kind of cathedral.
It is incredible. It is very evocative. I mean, centuries of dust have never seemed so attractive, I'm telling you.
Magnums.
Amazingly, Riscal has preserved bottles from every year since the vineyard's inception. Some of them have been resting here for over 150 years.
So this one I know is 1870, because this one...
Is it still drinkable, this wine?
Yes, it is. It's because of the conditions of we have in this room. We are talking about a humidity between 80–85%. It's always the light off. Today we can say that between 75–80% of this wine is still drinkable.
And I hate to bring it down to the base. What would a bottle of 1870 sell for?
So the question is, in reality, we don't sell these bottles. We open them in very special occasions. It's priceless.
It's incredible that they have this repository of wine, which they never sell. They open on special occasions, but very few people see. And I'm here seeing it.
The wine might be priceless, but not everything here is quite as exclusive. There is plenty for tourists to see. And as part of the experience, they can stay at this hotel. Built on top of the wine vaults, this is one of the most striking pieces of architecture in the country.
Isn't that beautiful? It's rather amazing here in this really verdant countryside to find this modernist masterpiece. Very exciting to come across it.
Incredibly, the owners managed to persuade the legendary Canadian architect Frank Gehry to design this bold hotel. Its dramatic ribbons of pink gold and silver titanium have echoes of one of his most famous buildings, the Guggenheim in nearby Bilbao.
When he was first asked to take on this commission, he refused because he'd only just recently done Bilbao. And cleverly, the owners enticed him with a couple of bottles of wine from his birth year vintage. And he was persuaded, and this is the result. Quite something.
But a stay here isn't all about drinking the vineyard's wine. I'm visiting the spa to experience what they call vinotherapy. By incorporating wine into a beauty treatment, every bit of the grape gets used here. This is called a crushed Cabernet scrub, a mixture of grape seeds, dark honey, and essential oils.
My skin will be soft as a baby's bottom after this, and I'll be lubricated by wine from both the outside and the inside. So relaxing.
And just as well, because tomorrow I've got a very early start. I'm in the north of Spain, in the Rioja region, famed for its vineyards. At the heart of it is the charming city of Logroño, a place that, in recent years, has built up quite a reputation for its food. You'll find several Michelin-starred restaurants here, but the quality of food is remarkable even down at street level. Those in the know can get some incredible cuisine in Logroño for a fraction of the price. On one street in the heart of the old town, you can find a plethora of pint-sized culinary delights called pinchos.
¿Cuánto bar hoy?
Hoy aquí hay 73 establecimientos.
73 bars here today. I'm looking forward to this. Yum, yum.
My guide Ricardo runs the association that the 73 traders belong to. Each one of them serve a different pinchos, which is a take on the more widely known tapas, but usually served on a skewer. Typically washed down with a glass of local wine, a wonder down this street is a bar crawl with a difference.
What's this?
Esto es lo que se conoce como la senda de los elefantes.
Yes.
Porque la gente, cuando entra,
Sí.
sale trompa. Entonces, trompa quiere decir en español ir borracho, y entonces van...
Barcolando.
Exacto.
So as they walk from bar to bar with a drink every time, they kind of stagger here and there, and that's the pathway of the elephants.
Este es uno de los bares que ponen pinchos más sofisticados, más de cocina moderna.
Oh, very nice. Oh my gosh, love, look at, ooh. How beautiful they are.
Vamos a ver, vais a comer patata asada crujiente, que es especialidad de la casa, con una salsita un poquito picante y una explosión de huevo que es envuelta en panceta ibérica finita y lo de fuera hacemos una lámina de patata y la deshidratamos, entonces podemos moldearla.
Sounds mad.
Of course, a glass of Rioja is the essential ingredient in the Logroño experience.
Hay que brindar, ¿eh?
Sí, it said.
Doesn't take much to twist my arm.
This is my idea of heaven. Entero?
Entero.
Entera, un poco caliente. That really is an explosion of egg. Indescribable. Beats having a sandwich on the motorway, let me tell you.
It will cost you less than a service station sandwich too. Most of these pinchos are only €1 or 2.
Se le inyecta la salsa
Sí.
y se come con piel y todo.
It's lucky I'm not on a diet, because I cannot imagine that this is terribly good for the figure. Salud.
I'll walk it off on the way to my next treat.
Vamos a tomar una brocheta de langostino con piña natural. Cuida que quema igual. No, está bien.
Sorry, but you know, I've got children. I'm used to doing it. Oh my God. I mean, it's 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I'm on my 3rd glass of wine. This is turning out to be a very good day.
Suddenly, the elephant's path is making sense.
Gente va a trompa y va de bar en bar.
Va trompa. I like
Va
that.
trompa, de ahí viene.
Our final stop is a Logroño legend.
Los cojonudos! So that means basically the dog's bollocks, because these are the best of the best.
Este es el cojonudo.
This is a typical Riojan pinchos with a trio of local ingredients: fried egg, chorizo, and alegría, which is a spicy chili pepper.
Y entero.
Oh my God.
Si puedes.
Okay. Okay. You first.
Uf, está difícil.
Venga. Cojonudo.
Cojonudo. That really is the dog's bollocks.
Cojonudo.
Salud.
Salud.
I mean, life really doesn't get much better than this.
An hour northeast of Logroño is the Basque region, an area with a distinct cultural identity. Within it lies the city of Pamplona, home to one of the most controversial and crazy festivals on earth. Each July, 1 million pleasure seekers descend on this city for the raucous festival of San Fermín. They come for a week of music and merrymaking, but most of all for the infamous running of the bulls.
It's pretty mad, isn't it?
It's a deeply rooted celebration that's been held every July since the 16th century. It originated from the need to move the bulls through the city to the bullfighting ring. Today, it draws people from across the globe.
There's a real party atmosphere. You can feel everyone's a bit nervous and quite excited. And possibly slightly drunk.
All these fearless, or some may say foolish, daredevils are here to place themselves in the path of 6 furious bulls.
You nervous? nervous?
A little bit. Why not just live your life? If I'm gonna go, I'd rather go doing something wild than, you know, be in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Okay. Yeah. All right, good luck.
Thank you. They're running with the bull! Let's go. Hey, are you gonna run yourself?
No way!
Why not?
Why not? It's amazing to be amongst it all. I'm really glad I'm not running.
I first became aware of the bull run when I read Ernest Hemingway's 1926 classic, The Sun Also Rises. The description of the festival was so vivid that it's been on my bucket list ever since.
Can't believe I'm here after all these years, almost 45 years old, and I'm getting to see this. I'm so happy, really excited. It's just a pretty bonkers idea, the whole thing. I mean, look how tight they're massed down there. You know, it's quite hard to run in that kind of pack, especially when being chased by 6 bulls. Quite a few of them are carrying rolled up newspapers, and I wonder if that's to bang a bull on the nose when it gets too close. So exciting. It really is exciting. That's the first kind of, that chant is a prayer to San Fermin to protect them.
A wave of nervous energy is surging through this narrow street.
I have to say, the atmosphere from when I first arrived has changed dramatically. Everyone was quite drunk and quite merry, and everyone's starting to get their game faces on. Everyone looks a lot more serious.
It's no wonder there are nerves. Up to 300 people are injured every year, gored or trampled under the hooves of the thundering herd or their fellow runners.
15 people have died over the last, I don't know how many years. So and lots of people get quite seriously injured.
It's over in the blink of an eye. The run usually lasts only 3 or 4 minutes.
I've got goosebumps. I mean, that was so fast. God knows what has happened that end, but this end, someone fell over, and over at the top, look, someone's down there.
It's not just the runners that get hurt. In all the excitement, it's easy to forget that for the bulls, this is a brutal tradition that ultimately ends in death. Tonight, in the bull ring. But this is one of those events I simply had to see once.
Really, really glad that I finally fulfilled my childhood wish, and I've seen the running of the bulls happen. I mean, that is one of the more insane things I've ever seen in my life. They always say, you never feel so alive as when you're almost dead.
I'm about to test that theory and face my fear of heights in Barcelona.
I don't know quite what to say. I'm rather blown away, to tell you the truth.
I've travelled east of the Basque Country and the madness of the bull run to the region of Catalonia. Like the Basque Country, Catalonia is steeped in history and tradition, and its people are fiercely proud and protective of their cultural identity. I've arrived at the jewel in its crown, its capital, one of the world's greatest cities.
I love Barcelona, and I have ever since I visited it for the first time about 15 years ago.
Barcelona is a completely enchanting city with boundless culture, fabled architecture and sun-drenched beaches.
I feel like this is a very vibrant and creative city. It's a city that allows you to be anything you want to be.
It's long been a city synonymous with art and has inspired artistic luminaries such as Salvador Dalí, Pablo Picasso and Juan Miró. But it's an architect who truly exemplified the Catalan quest for independence and innovation. His name was Antoine Gaudí. Gaudí's ingenious and whimsical creations are perhaps the most visible and famous art in Barcelona.
What I love about it is his refusal to tread a well-trodden path. He went off-piste, let's face it.
There's no greater example of his eccentric creativity than his masterpiece, one of the most famous and recognizable cathedrals in the world, the Sagrada Familia. This wonder has been in construction since 1892. It was Gaudí's passion project, the ultimate expression of his wild imagination.
Every time I come here, I'm just overwhelmed by how over the top it is. It is so detailed and extravagant and bonkers. You don't know where to look first. There are so many things that I love about this building.
When Gaudí died in 1926, only a quarter of the project was complete. By the time it's finished, it will have taken longer than the Egyptian pyramids to build.
It's expected to be completed in 2026, at which point it will have been in construction for 150 years. That is, if it is completed in 2026, which many people doubt. Looking around, I can understand why.
The interior is even more jaw-dropping.
Feels like a monument to man's ingenuity. It's an astonishingly ambitious building,
which unsurprisingly attracts 4 million visitors a year, making it the most visited monument in Spain. When Sagrada Familia is completed, it will be the tallest religious building in Europe. As this artist's impression illustrates, the central tower will stretch a hair-raising 172 meters into the sky. And today, I'm honored to have been given real access to the construction of that tower. But it means confronting a real fear.
I am, to say the least, not madly keen on heights, but this is the opportunity of a lifetime and there's no way I'm missing out. So, just have to get on with it.
Architect Esteve is escorting me on my ascent.
I'm Alex.
Hi, I'm Esteban. Nice to meet you.
Very nice to meet you.
How are you?
Good. Looking forward to this.
Okay, let's go.
Let's go. Thanks.
Esteve is one of a team of 50 architects who, alongside 100 builders, are working tirelessly to try to complete the project before 2026. Much of the work happens at incredibly vertiginous heights.
So now we are gonna go up till 30 meters.
Awesome. Awesome. Just being able to see this so close. It's amazing. How high does this lift take us?
Well, we're gonna go from 30 till 54 meters high.
54 meters.
I can only imagine the weight on this architect's shoulders to realise Gaudi's extraordinary vision. But what is more terrifying to me right now is that I've still got to go up. This is not comfortable for me.
Look at this!
And this...
Oh my God.
Yeah, don't look down.
I'm not looking, don't worry. Oh my goodness.
We're almost there.
Oh my God. It's mad. Ugh. Made me feel very hot and sweaty walking along that platform. I'm fine as long as I don't have to look over the edge. It's mad to see the detail up so close and personal. I don't know quite what to say. I'm rather blown away, to tell you the truth.
I'm not often lost for words. Perhaps my fear of heights has rendered me speechless. And there's another lift to go.
Oh, good. Oh my gosh, this is really exciting. Yay! Wow, now I'm glad I came up here. This is amazing.
Well, as you can see, we are in the highest point now on the works. We are around 85 meters high from the ground.
This is as high as I've been in a long time. And this is as high as I plan to get.
You can see that this will be the beginning of Jesus Tower. And also when this will be completed, we will have the cross and the whole building, which is really in the center of the city.
Gaudi believed that nothing man-made should ever be higher than God's work. It's no coincidence, then, that the ultimate height of his monumental creation will be 1 meter short of Barcelona's highest mountain, Montjuic.
Coming up here was definitely worth the fear. I mean, you've got this amazing view. I've got to see some work that very few people get to see really up close. I wouldn't have missed this for the world.
The cathedral may be the most recognizable piece of art in the city. But in the Gothic quarter just off Las Ramblas, a shop that counts Salvador Dali and Pablo Picasso as former customers is also well worth a visit. At the legendary El Ingenio, they sell giant papier-mâché heads. It's surrealism in the flesh. Beyond the myriad of masks and puppets lies a family-run business spanning generations. Today it's run by Catalan Rosa Cardona.
Oh, this is amazing. What is this shop? I've never seen anything like it.
Pues esta tienda es una tienda de artesanía de cartón piedra, pero para, más que nada para fiestas populares de Cataluña.
These giant heads are used in festivals that happen all over the region.
So, how long has this shop been here in Barcelona?
De 1838.
No!
Yo no estaba. Tenemos cabezudos de gente popular, pero también cabezudos grotescos.
Where do you make these things?
Ah, en el obrador.
Okay.
Hidden behind a curtain at the back of the shop is a dark, cave-like workshop where master craftsman Augustin methodically molds these weird and wonderful heads out of layers of papier-mâché.
Hola, Agustín.
Hola, buenas tardes.
How long has Agustín been here?
Sí.
¿Cuánto tiempo a trabajar?
46, ¿no?
No.
Sí, 46.
I mean, honestly, this man who's been working here for 46 years, it's like, I mean, in the cave, creating these mad products. It's an astonishing story.
These heads that Agustín has devoted his life to take months to make. The largest ones, the giants, can cost up to 3,000 euros.
¿Quieres que te enseñe un
Sí.
cabezudo? Aquí tengo uno.
Sí, por favor. Oh my gosh. I'm pretty sure that would make me feel very claustrophobic. Oh my gosh. It's really very odd, that is. Can you see me there? Where does she see from? From the mouth? I'm glad it's not me. I'll try.
Oh.
I'm not sure this is supposed to be happening.
Un momento que esto no me acordaba que costaba.
Now I'm starting to get worried.
He tenido un problema.
I've never had to rescue someone from an oversized head before. Thank God my resourceful producer has come to the rescue.
Tengo que dar la vuelta.
¿Sí?
Hacía tiempo que no me... Hacía tiempo que no me lo ponía. Este es demasiado largo para mí. A veces me he probado otros, pero este modelo no.
Honestly. Oh, pobre señora.
No pasa nada.
Are you okay?
Me conformo con una careta así.
That was a surreal moment in a city that's no stranger to surrealism. Perhaps because Barcelona has a long history with the powerful spirit absinthe. Bar Marcella is reputedly the oldest absinthe bar in town. Located in El Raval, it was a favourite haunt of everyone from Picasso to Hemingway, drawn in by the ambiance and the absinthe.
Good evening, Jose.
It's been in Jose Marcella's family for generations.
Thank you. This place looks like it's exactly the same as it was 3 generations ago.
It exactly looks the same.
So I've been looking at some of the bottles on the shelves.
They are real, they are full,
Oh my gosh.
and some ones is from 1818, 1820s, 1850s, depends of the year. This is because we forgot where are the keys and we never open back. So
it's very practical. It's just there because it's there.
Marsella is timeless. 200 years of history hanging in the air. It's in the peeling paint, the dust-ridden shelves, the blackened mirrors and the chandeliers choked by cobwebs.
I love the fact that you don't play music in this bar, that when you come here, people can hear each other. But it's very unusual these days.
yeah, this is the most important thing of a bar.
Yeah.
The bar is a connection with the people.
This is a bar for night owls. It doesn't open until 10 o'clock at night, but people flock here nonetheless, drinking in the sense of history and the absinthe.
I fear I'm not going to like it, but I'd still like to try an absinthe.
Perfect. I will give you one.
Thank you.
To prepare the absinthe, the sugar goes
At the end of the 19th century, absinthe was embraced by the bohemian crowd who gathered in cafes and bars like this one in search of inspiration. Although it was banned at the turn of the century, absinthe is now perfectly legal in every country in which alcohol is legal.
The thing is that inside to the absinthe is the green fairy.
Yes.
And the green fairy is sleeping.
So you have to wake her up.
For to waking up, you have to give them something sweet.
Salud.
Salud.
It's a tough job, but somebody has got to do it.
It's hard.
This is going going to polish me off. I'll be dancing on the tables now. I start dancing on the tables. It's not me, it's the Green Fairy.
I've travelled to Barcelona in Catalonia, a region with a strong identity. In Catalan culture, nothing symbolises this more than the unique phenomenon of human towers. Wandering through Barcelona, it's a fairly common sight, even though it may look and sound like a medieval fair. Young or old, big or small, everyone is welcome in the human pyramid. Slowly and methodically, the castle builds up. It requires technical ability and daring, but these human towers are not just an exercise in thrill-seeking. Dating back to the 18th century, human towers represent the foundations of Catalan culture. I'm on my way to meet Eduard Parés, one of the organisers of the Castellers de Barcelona.
Where does the tradition of human towers come from?
It's a 200 years old tradition, especially from Catalonia. It comes from a religion tradition. They try to simulate the cross of Jesus Christ, but with the pass of the time, we have avoided the religion sense, and today it's just a tradition, a Catalan tradition, that resumes what are Catalan people.
Does it have a social value, do you think? What do you get from it?
It's the collaboration, the solidarity, the team working. There is a motto to say what human towers are. Força, equilibri, valor y seny. That means strong, balance, courage, and common sense. The four words are very important for the Catalan tradition of Castellers.
I'm going to join a Castell training session to learn more about this Catalan tradition. These local people gather for 3 hours, 3 times a week, to practice and perfect.
I'm just amazed by how many people turn up on a Tuesday night just to do this. It's kind of an odd pastime, seems to me. They're all, I don't know. It's not what I was expecting at all.
Venga, va, som-hi.
It's a combination of balance, strength, and clenched teeth concentration, with a healthy dose of bravery and trust. It's way more intense than I had anticipated. There are 3 definite parts to a castle: the piña or base, the trunk, and the pomme de dalt, the crown of the castle.
2 structures, the 4 structure here and 3 structure here to make the 7 structure. Always a child that gets from this part and the other for the other part.
The very last person to ascend is the Anchaneta. Agile and light-footed, this nimble nipper clambers up the tower and raises an arm in the air when he or she reaches the pinnacle. As a mother of 2 small children, my heart is in my mouth, and I feel strangely emotional.
Children are the very courageous people.
It's the most incredible thing.
You need the combination of all the people, all the human team working together.
It's incredibly moving experience. I don't know how else to say it.
Well, do you want to join us? Come with me.
Eduard has invited me to become part of the piña, the base of the tower.
As they put the people, I will put you. 2, push with your arm and your hands. You have to take the arms like this. You will take her. Or here or here. ¿Vale? Approach to the tower. Wait a minute. Wait. Now. Take the arms here. Touch with the chest and the head down. Okay? join us to a piña.
Have you enjoyed?
Yes! It's amazing. I mean, the thing that I most notice is it's very intimate. We're very close. I was very close to people who I didn't know.
You feel the tower because you are in contact. It's the Catalan culture. You are touching everybody, and you need to be in contact with all the people, and that's the reason of what we can do, human towers.
That was the most astonishing, affecting, and humbling experience.
I mean, you know, I'm really fighting not to cry, and that is not me. It really isn't me. I mean, I don't know what it is that's making me feel so emotional exactly. But I think it is just unusual, this level of trust and this level of commitment and this mad thing that actually means something, though. It's very, very moving. And when I was part of it, you just do feel like you're part of something bigger than yourself.
Watching this, you get a sense of the pride these people feel about preserving their culture and passing it through the generations.
I think it's just one of those moments I'm never going to forget the whole of my life. The day that I came and saw this happening here.
This experience perfectly encapsulates everything I've seen on this first leg of my journey. I've journeyed into the heart of Spain, a vast interior dense with history. In exploring the centre of this country, I'll uncover the roots of some of the oldest Spanish traditions, amidst the peculiar rural landscapes of Consuegra and in the beguiling plazas of Salamanca. But it all stems from Spain's beating heart, its capital.
I've just arrived in Madrid. I've been here a couple of times before, and it's a city that I absolutely love. It feels very grown up and self-assured, and I'm really glad to be back here.
Madrid became Spain's capital by default. In 1561, King Felipe II wanted to unify the country by creating a central point. Right in the middle of the Iberian Peninsula, Madrid fit the bill. But despite the royals favouring the city, it took centuries to shake off its past as a poor town full of medieval mud huts and become what it is today, the third largest city in the European Union.
I'm in Puerta del Sol, which is the geographical centre of Madrid. This is kilometre zero from which every distance is taken in Spain. It's so busy, this square. It's the centre of New Year's celebrations, and every Madrileno comes here.
Madrileno is what residents of the city call themselves, and it doesn't matter if you were born here or not. A common phrase to hear is, if you're in Madrid, you're from Madrid. And if you're from Madrid, the custom is to end your night or start your day in a cafe like this. I'm meeting Fiona for the local speciality. She's a Madrileno who moved here from London 10 years ago.
It is so busy. It's been so noisy since I've been in here. There's just a constant stream of people.
I've been here for 10 years and I still don't really know when Spanish people sleep. This place is really packed around 7 in the morning. So as Madrileños come out from the clubs and they need something to pick them up before they go to work, the kind of typical thing is to come out from a night out and come here for a nice strong pickup, something sweet.
Madrid has evolved into one of the culinary capitals of Europe, but some of its most celebrated dishes are still the most humble ones. Here, the Spanish donut, churros, dipped in chocolate, flies out of the kitchen.
So this is the best thing to have after a night of drinking.
Is it?
Yeah.
Fried and sugar.
Instead of, in England, we might go for kebab. In Spain, you go for chocolate and churros.
The churros itself is quite salty, and then so the combination of that with the chocolate means that it's not as sickly as you might think.
And it's full of oil, but it's very light.
Oh, really?
Apparently.
Famous last words. Next, you're going to tell me that it's dietetic.
It's very low in calories, I promise.
Delicious. So, Fiona, tell me, what makes Madrid so special?
It's special because it sort of reveals itself. It's a city of layers. It's like you have to peel it away to discover the neighbourhoods, the barrios, the little corners. And because it's not so touristy, it does still kind of maintain its own sense of being Madrid, I guess, its own distinctness.
Is there something that characterises Madrileños and what makes them special?
So I think it's this sense of they sort of live life outside of their homes. So their neighbourhoods are really important. Even though it's a big city, there's very distinct areas within it. Because it takes a little while to sort of fall in love with, and then once you live here, you think, I can't really imagine anywhere else in the world that would be better.
Madrid, often overlooked by the British, is the must-visit city for the Spanish, who recognise its historical significance in the evolution of their country. Its cultural appeal stems from the royal family, who made Madrid what it is today and resided here until 1931, when the king was exiled to Rome for a period of 45 years. The influence of the monarchy remains. The Palacio Royal is where King Juan Carlos signed the new Constitution of Spain in 1978 after Franco's death. It is one of the city's most visited landmarks.
This is one of the biggest palaces in Europe, and quite frankly, it makes Buckingham Palace look a bit pathetic.
The royal family no longer lives here, but the palace still houses their vast historical collections.
Well, this is rather nice, isn't it? What a grand way to enter a palace. It starts to hint at the glories within.
The enormous residence took 17 years to build. It has 3,000 rooms, 50 of which are open to visitors.
You'd have to spend a whole day just here to really appreciate it. It's pretty impressive, though.
But while culture seekers expect opulence at the palace, just a stone's throw away you can get a glimpse at how the Spanish aristocracy emulated the royals. The Museo Cerralbo is Madrid's best-kept secret. It's the home of a rather eccentric aristocrat of the 19th century. Inside, a wealth of collections from his travels are wonderfully untouched.
Wow! What an amazing place. This level of the house would have been the entertaining room. There would have been endless parties, receptions, balls. And it was all a big, big show. Certainly impressing me. This room just suggests to me various things that aren't quite right about my life, such as I don't have one of these.
The Marqués of Cerralbo travelled the world and seemingly hoarded everything from sculptures to clocks, lamps to exquisite porcelains.
Just the amount of decorative detail. The Murano glass. Look at this chandelier. Oh. The combination of everything is just, I don't know where to look first. Oh, the vase. Beautiful porcelain. The ceiling, the trompe l'oeil.
It may seem extravagant.
God, there's more.
And over the top.
I mean, this is a way that any lady should be carried to a party. On the shoulders of full brawny men.
But this is typical of the time.
Maybe one day, if I'm very good, I might have a library like this. Oh.
The Marquess of Cerralbo dedicated his life to preserving this moment in history.
Great wealth is so often frittered away. Certainly nowadays, what you read about is people buying the next enormous gig yacht or a collection of fast cars. Things that last but a moment and then are gone, are superseded. What the Marqués de Cerralbo did was, with his incredible eclectic taste, collect all this stuff and save it for the nation. And what a worthy enterprise.
Away from the mainstream tourist trail, free of crowds, this is a real find.
I had no idea that this was here. This is a pretty well-kept secret in Madrid. I'm so glad I'm getting to see it.
It would be wrong of me to come to Madrid and fail to acknowledge Spain's most ancient and controversial attraction. Corrida, the bullfight. It's a time-honored tradition, but the bullfight is shrouded in controversy because ultimately the bull is normally killed. Despite many judging it to be cruelty, it's a part of Spain's heritage and is still as popular as ever in Madrid. The most skilled matadors are like movie stars in Spain, and the top ones can earn millions from performing around the world.
I am in the Madrid bull ring, and I've never been to a bullfight before. Though there's been a massive debate about the future of bullfighting throughout Spain, Madrid, in fact, has elevated bullfighting to the status of a protected art form. It is still incredibly popular, and with a much younger demographic than I was expecting.
There is a real sense of occasion and excitement among the crowd, but I really don't know what to expect.
I don't know. I've always been led to believe it is a true contest between man and beast. I expect to be very moved. Anytime blood is spilt, there is emotion, and I'm sure that that is why it's such an addictive thrill for people. You have to see this to understand Spain. Bullfighting is part of its DNA. Whatever you think about it personally, this is their culture, their tradition. 6:30, it's about to start.
Through all the pomp and ceremony, there is a definite tension in the air, as the hours that follow are completely unpredictable. The Iberian fighting bulls have lived rich lives for at least 4 years, reaching peak condition by the time they're led into the ring. This is 650 kilos of pure rage.
What the crowd wants to see is close work, i.e., the man has got to get as close to this enraged bull as possible without being gored. It's all the positions that the matador assumes. He's staying so close to the bull. It's just bonkers, actually. What? They're full of energy still, though. Raging. Oh my gosh. This is a bit where he has to actually kill the bull. feel quite complicated about it. I mean, I suppose it's a bit stupid of me not to realise that I would, but once they start stabbing him with the peaks and he starts bleeding, and I start enjoying it less. I find it astonishing that in this day and age, young men, and they start quite young, decide to go off and take this up as a lifestyle, as a career choice.
I came into this event without any real understanding, but I wanted to see it for myself.
I mean, I had to come to a bullfight. I've never done it before, and I've always wanted to. I'm glad I went. I have to say, though, it wasn't with unmixed feelings of joy that I experienced this, because although it was fun in the beginning when the bull is fresh, I didn't particularly enjoy the end of it, I must admit. Of course, I understand the artistry, the sheer cojones of these guys, you know, in front of this animal with great big horns. But overall, having done it once, I'm not sure I'd be in a hurry to ever do it again.
But I'm not leaving it there. Just outside the city is Finca Feligre's bullfighting school, where aspiring boys, and sometimes girls, come and train for many years until they can fight professionally at 16 years of age.
I felt very conflicted after seeing that bullfight. But, you know, I don't want to be facile. I want to discover what it is that drives people to become a matador. So I need to ask some questions and get some answers.
I want to understand why bullfighting is so important to Spanish culture. So I'm meeting Rogelio, who trained to be a matador from the age of 9.
Thank you very much for meeting me.
Hi.
So, what is the position of the matador in today's society? Is it still very highly regarded? Is it a position of, I mean, do people look up to you? Is it, explain to me.
Yeah, I think a lot of people watch the bullfighters like a hero. When I was a young boy, I remember when I started fighting that my first bullfight I've seen, I watched the bullfighter and I said, that guy is a magician. Why he can fight a bull, make that things, be beautiful, be calm? For me, it was like a magic. It wasn't an hero. Today, a lot of people here loves the bullfights, and it's very important to be a great bullfighter here in Spain.
What is the psychology of a bullfight? I understand and I appreciate this long tradition, but I also know that it's very complex in today's society, that lots of people are against it. So I'd like to understand it so that I can appreciate it better.
Okay, first of all, this is a tradition, okay? This is part of the life. We don't really enjoy to kill the bull, really, believe me. We try to make beautiful things with the bull. We try to make art. I know that sometimes it's difficult to know that an animal dies, a bull dies. But that bull is fighting for his life. And if he's a great bull, the president of the bullfight said that you forgive the life of the bull. Then the bull returns.
But there are few other performing arts that are this dangerous. In the last 12 months alone, several matadors sustained life-threatening injuries and one died.
What's the mental process that you go through before a fight, during a fight?
Before the fight, you are always thinking about the fight you're going to have. That you are going to be prepared for fight that bull. Sometimes you think that you can die, and it's the worst thing you can think in that moment, but it happens. It happens to all of us. Then when you arrive to the fight, it's different, because in the fight, you are only thinking about make a great fight, try to understand the bull to make a great faena. That's why your mind is going to be so strong to always think about what you are going to do in the bull ring.
There must be an immense amount of adrenaline once you come out of that ring.
The adrenaline is very important for us, because when I have adrenaline, I feel that I'm living, that I'm alive. I'm alive, and I try to enjoy every moment because you know that you can die.
And do you have children? Do you have a wife?
Yeah, I'm married and I have one child. My son have a 6-year-old.
Yeah.
He likes the bullfights. but I really don't want to be a bullfighter because I think that if my son fight a bull, for me it's going to be very difficult. I prefer fighting the bull. When you are fighting, you know what you are doing. But the people watching, and they think that the bull can hit you, you can die. Very difficult, very difficult. I really appreciate, and it's very important for the bullfighter being the support of the parents. Yeah.
It's a highly emotive subject, but here people aspire to this lifestyle, which pays well and offers the opportunity to travel the world. Before being unleashed in the bull ring, students train intensively, using first fake horns and capes, gradually moving up to cows and finally bulls.
And it's beautiful. It's very complicated to dominate the cape. And we train all day like this, and try to have the perfection, the great movement, the correct movement.
The future of bullfighting may be uncertain, but I'm glad I had the opportunity to come and see it for myself and make up my own mind about it.
I understand much better than I did, and I also have a great deal more appreciation for the art. I completely appreciate that there are many people who think that bullfighting is a barbaric sport. But I think it's very important that you come to a country like Spain and you make at least an attempt to understand their traditions. I really think I've done that today. I think I'm a wiser person for my meeting with Rogelio.
Next, I head south to an area with strong ties to its past, the ancient landscapes of Consuegra. I've left behind the noise of Madrid and arrived somewhere altogether more serene and surreal. A place that inspired a scene in one of the most famous literary works ever to come out of Spain.
I've travelled 90 minutes south of Madrid to the town of Consuegra, which is where Cervantes set his famous book, Don Quixote. Centuries ago, there would have been windmills dotting the landscape as far as the eye can see. Now only a few remain.
Don Quixote is a middle-aged dreamer, so obsessed with tales of chivalry that he's deluded into believing he's a knight on a quest to restore justice and honor to the world.
The windmills are famous because he thought that rather than windmills, they were giants, and so he fought the giants with his spear.
Published in 1604, it is acclaimed to be the first modern novel, and critics have discussed it ever since.
Still is the obsession of Spain in the same way that Shakespeare is the obsession of England. It's a very romanticised view of an idealistic life, but there is a kernel of truth and value in it for every one of us.
Don Quixote's ill-fated adventures are the reason why this peculiar landscape draws visitors. And many Japanese believe he was a samurai, fighting these giant windmills. Out of these remaining structures, only one is fully functioning now. Fernando was part of a team who restored the 300-year-old Rocío mill 3 years ago.
It's amazing. Amazing system. Why did you decide to restore it?
Because it's a part of our history, it's a part of our heritage, and we are young people and we need to preserve these kind of things. If not, who can do that?
I think there was a long time in the past where everyone was so busy moving forward that we didn't give value to the things that were behind. Yeah. Now we've come full circle in a way. Show me inside.
This mill is fascinating to me. My husband comes from a long line of millers, and so to see this brought back to life is quite astonishing.
It's a monster machine. It's very interesting to me. My husband's family were millers of flour all the way back to the Doomsday Book, and the last 4 generations have been bakers, so one way or another we've had a lot to do with wood. How did you know how to restore this?
Bueno, pues la verdad es que no han quedado carpinteros molineros que nos pudieran transmitir el oficio.
Sí.
¿Por qué? Porque se dejaron de construir molinos hace 150 años. Pero había otro oficio muy parecido, que eran los carpinteros que construían carros.
So he apprenticed himself to a master cart maker, and he learned how to do the work. Why are you so interested in the mill?
Bueno, yo nací aquí en La Mancha, en Campo de Cristana, un pueblo en el cual hay molinos. Entonces, desde muy pequeño he visto los molinos, bueno, pues en un estado un poco ruinoso.
Sí.
Cuando tengo la oportunidad de trabajar en la rehabilitación de un molino, pues despierta una pasión por este trabajo. Y bueno, pues desde los 16 años ya no he podido dedicarme a otra cosa.
This mill was last used commercially 70 years ago. Nowadays, the millings are done purely for tourists and to preserve a long-forgotten job.
Entonces, esta harina que nosotros hacemos es 100% natural y completa.
Sí.
Luego sí que vienen compañeros o amigos que sí que se llevan la harina y fabrican el pan o bizcochos, que bueno, luego nos lo da a probar y muy bueno.
Sí.
Maybe there is a little of Don Quixote in us all.
This is, you know, had no state support. It's a group of friends who decided to do this wonderful thing and to bring the past to life because they understood the value that it has historically. They certainly attempted to live their dream, and they've achieved it.
But some embody the spirit of Don Quixote more than others. In Spain, the church is a fundamental part of culture. More than 70% of the population identify themselves as Catholic Christians. But 90 minutes north of Consuegra, in the town of Mejorado del Campo, a cathedral is being built that takes that devotion to a level of obsession. This enormous structure is built from recycled materials. Wood, glass, even tomato tins.
The scale is quite extraordinary.
Inside, you get a true sense of the work still to do.
Gosh, it's like an airplane hangar. It's enormous. It's quite an endeavour. I mean, where would you start?
The dome alone has taken 30 years to build, and the whole thing looks as though it needs decades more. But what's incredible is that all this is actually the work of one man, and he's a 92-year-old former monk. Described as a modern-day Don Quixote, Don Justo doesn't speak to many people, but he's agreed to talk to me.
Hola. Don Justo, yo soy Alex. Don Justo, explain to me how this came about. Why did you build this?
Bueno, yo he tenido una madre que era muy piadosa, amaba la iglesia.
Sí.
Y cuando yo tuve 27 años, me marché al convento.
Sí.
Entonces, en ese tiempo yo enfermé de tuberculosis.
Sí.
Y tuvo que votar a la comunidad. Y como era contagioso, tuve que salir.
Sí, okay.
Y vino a mi casa, estuve en Madrid un año. Y ya mi madre ya me trajo al pueblo. Y ya como yo tenía una propiedad de mi padre, que es una herencia, pues empecé a replantear, a hacer la iglesia.
He got out of hospital and started building this in 1961. So he's been building it 55 years.
Y como amo tanto la iglesia, pues está claro. Hice una iglesia lo que pude. Todo lo que tengo se lo he dado. Un ideal, todo cristiano, hombre.
Are you formally trained as an engineer or as an architect?
No quiero estudio. Yo sé las 4 reglas, no sé más, no quiero más. No me interesa. El mundo no me interesa. Me interesa a Cristo. El flujo de Cristo me sobra.
Where do you get your inspiration from?
De Cristo, por favor. Yo soy labrador. No entiendo de arte. Le tengo que pedir, llamarle y buscarle. Cristo. ¿Tú crees en Cristo? ¿Sabes quién es Cristo?
Sí.
Ah, pues ese.
Don Justo relies on donations of materials, which is perhaps why his masterpiece is taking so long.
Have you ever felt like just giving up and walking away?
¿Yo? Que va, cada vez más le amo. No. Se va consiguiendo mucho más. No se puede eso. No se puede eso. El que pone las manos en el arado y echa la vista para atrás no vale.
Onward, ever onward.
You know, I really do admire Don Justo's 55 years of devotion, but I can't help but be concerned about the mountain that he still has to climb.
I think work in progress doesn't begin to describe it. You know that moment when you're doing a project and everything's a mess, but you know all of a sudden it all comes together? I think we're some way off that. I'm really struggling with this. I mean, there's definitely lovely ideas. Like, I can see those stained glass windows may one day look nice. But I just kind of can't get why he just wouldn't finish one stained glass window before moving on to the next one. It's really frustrating. I mean, gosh, do I feel Virgoan at this point? I feel it's making me quite anxious, just the sheer scale of the disorder.
You can't help but feel compelled to leave a contribution in support of this man's endeavours. But Don Justo's cathedral is still to be recognised by the Catholic Church.
Don Justo, God bless him. The Spanish seem to be either incredibly traditional and conventional or complete iconoclasts. And clearly he's of the latter variety. Of course. I love people dreaming big. But I like people who dream big and accomplish something. I'm a realist, maybe not quite enough a dreamer.
Next, I reach the final stop on my exploration, the historical university city, Salamanca. My journey through the heart of Spain has taken me to my final point, 2 hours west of Madrid, the enchanting city of Salamanca.
I've never been to Salamanca before. This is Spain's most famous university city, and I can see why.
Founded in the 11th century, Salamanca is home to the country's oldest university. After Bologna in Italy and Oxford, it's among the oldest in the world. Its enduring reputation as a place to come and study makes it a lively city to be in, with its burgeoning student population. However, its elegant architecture means it's a serene city to wander. Plaza Mayor is a highlight for many visitors, day or night.
This is, well, frankly, one of the most beautiful squares I've ever seen, partly because there's not one thing to ruin the harmony of it. I love it. I love it. I want to stay here for a few days and actually get to enjoy it. It's completely magical.
But whilst the architecture makes tourists to Salamanca marvel, it's not unusual to find some seemingly mesmerised as they study the intricately sculpted facades of one of the city's cathedrals. Because here, all is not quite as it seems.
So I am looking at the cathedral, and what I'm looking for specifically is the astronaut and the gargoyle eating an ice cream. This has become a bit of a tradition in Salamanca. Tourists come and try and spot these anomalies.
Anomalies that are the work of a so-called prankster, who was recently tasked with restoring part of the building and thought it would be funny to make a few modern additions. He only managed to get away with it a few times, but his work remains. You have to be rather eagle-eyed to see it, though.
Can't I see anything? Oh, there's I can see the astronaut. It's very obviously an astronaut. I mean, there's no mistaking him for something medieval. And, oh, yes, and look, this rather charming gargoyle with his tail somehow. I hope it's his tail wrapped around him several times. It's eating an ice cream. Brilliantly done. I mean, what a good wheeze. I love it.
I'm on a roll now.
That is another example of the prankster restorer's work. I would have thought that it was original.
This particular one pays homage to a student tradition here known as a tuna, roving musicians who've sung on the streets for centuries. Born out of the need for money to pay for their studies, nowadays it's still a badge of honor to be a student in a tuna. I've heard that they like to serenade the ladies, and I wonder if that's the appeal. To try and find out, I'm meeting Javier and Rodrigo, who play as part of Salamanca's medical faculty tuna.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi. Very nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Lovely to meet you. Thank you so much. What does it mean for you to be in a tuna?
It's so many things. I mean, for me, the most important thing is the brotherhood, because we travel together and we play music together, we party together. So first of all, it has to be the music, but later you start to discover another things that you love it.
Es una forma diferente de vivir la vida. En la época de estudiante es muy diferente, porque te abre mucho el mundo, te abre muchas puertas de cosas que no podrías hacer como estudiante realmente, como puede ser viajar por el mundo gratuitamente.
Sí.
Sí, hacemos viajes por todo el mundo, no solo en España.
So you do it for love of music? Do people give you money still?
If they want to, it isn't a problem.
And then why else do you do it?
Because we like it and we like, I don't know, the music.
Does it make you popular with the women?
Sometimes.
Que la tuna es lo más importante, porque la tuna básicamente es para rondar mujeres en los balcones.
Oh, I see. Now the truth comes out. Aha! Actually, most people come and join one of these things so that they can pull.
It seems many find the 17th century costume rather appealing.
You have to have a nicely turned leg to wear something like that. I like it. Yeah, very nice.
Do you think so?
Yes, I do think so.
I think so. I think so.
The unofficial motto of the tuna in Salamanca is, one must look for life. Perhaps they should add, and love.
Can't wait to see it.
Seeing a tuna play in Salamanca is all a part of the experience, and you're most likely to catch them serenading tourists in Plaza Mayor, which takes on a fittingly romantic glow at night. Apparently, it's easy to become spellbound by their ensemble of traditional Spanish, Portuguese, and Latin American love songs.
Las olas a besar las arenas de la playa con fervor, así van los desconocidos a buscar que la playa encontramos el calor.
It's not long before I'm the target of this tuna's affections.
Si levanta el brazo, levanta el brazo. A las cintas de mi cama, y cantando a coro dice, quiéreme niña del alma, las cintas de mi cama, de mi capa estudiantil, y un repique de campanas, y un repique de campanas.
Here he comes again.
Vamos a bailar un poquito. Eso es. Vamos a ver. Con las cintas de mi capa. Bueno, no bailas mal, ¿eh? Para ser británica.
He's a trier, I'll give him that.
¿De qué parte? ¿De dónde eres?
De Londres.
¿De Londres? En Londres no bailan las mujeres así, te bailan muy bien.
De mi capa estudiantil
y un repique de campanas, y un repique de campanas.
Cuando yo te lo mantengo,
Bravi, bravi, bravi. So good. What's not to like?
¿Pesa un poco? ¿Es pesada?
¿Cómo?
La capa, pesa.
Sí, pesa.
Es para que las mujeres no se escapen. Tú le pones la capa y la mujer no se vaya.
He said, is it heavy, the cake? And he said it's so that the woman can't get away. I think I pulled.
My husband needn't worry, though.
Gosh, what an amazing end to this part of my Spain trip. To end in this stunning university city with these really fun guys. I was warned that the Spanish really know how to have fun, and so I found it.
Of all the places I've been to so far, this part of Spain has intrigued me the most. When you journey to its heart, you're exposed to so many layers of history still wonderfully preserved.
The thing that always fascinates me is people who battle so hard to keep traditions alive, and also that the people who are passionate about what they do transmit their passion so fervently. I think what I take away from this is to just live every moment and to appreciate what you have and not be scared to think big.
I've journeyed south of the Costa Blanca and arrived in the region of Andalusia, where I'll explore the province of Almeria, moving inland towards the magnificent city of Granada. On my way, I'll rediscover the Alpujarras within the Sierra Nevada mountain range. But my starting point is like nowhere else I've ever seen in Spain, the driest place in Europe, the desert of Tavernas. I've visited Andalusia a few times, and to me, it's one of Spain's most authentic regions. Tourists typically fly into Malaga on the south coast and scatter themselves along the Costa del Sol. But away from the more developed resorts, it's an area of wild and contrasting beauty. To the east of Malaga, the province of Almeria is characterized by mile upon mile of agricultural land, and the protected coastline of the Cabo de Gata Natural Park, with unspoilt beaches strung between its coves. 30 minutes north of the city of Almeria, the landscape turns wildly different again.
This is Tavernas, which some people say is the only true desert in Europe. It's an incredibly barren, arid, hostile landscape. There's nothing modern, as far as the eye can see. Looking around here, it's hard to believe I'm in an area of Spain that's famed for growing tomatoes.
Within this 100 square miles of eerie wilderness, over 400 films have been shot. Maybe you can hazard a guess at one of the genres that led the Hollywood invasion.
I feel like the only stranger in town. I've never once seen a saloon that I didn't want to have a drink in. Like the moody cowboy.
This is Fort Bravo, a film set built in the 1970s to replicate a town for spaghetti westerns. To this day, it's still used by the industry, but now tourists can come and get their slice of the action too.
This place is so cool. It's amazing. There's the old water tower, which is probably going to be pulled down by a baddie any moment. Grand Central Bank. Better not put your gold in there, you know what's going to happen. You do literally feel transported.
I'm not usually one for theme parks, but this is something else.
But it reminds you of every Western movie that you've ever seen, and I love a Western. Ugh. I mean, those cowboys are so sexy, let's face it. What's not to like?
My guide, Raphael, spends his winters hosting film crews and summers entertaining tourists.
How long have you been working here?
Since I was, well, I'm here since I was a child because my father is the founder, one of the founders of Fort Bravo. And since I'm born, I was here in the shooting and everything of the cowboys.
Gosh, that must have been such fun.
Yeah.
So tell me a bit about Fort Bravo, why it was built, and how come it's just such an amazing place.
Well, the beginning was Sergio Leone was looking for a place for the third movie of The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. And just arriving here, take a look of 360 degrees around and didn't see nothing artificial, no ways, no bridges, nothing. And then he said to his personal architect that build the next Western town here.
It's very evocative. It makes you feel like you want to get involved. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
This is just so much less cheesy than I was expecting and so much more evocative. It's just, what a great place to hang out. Just not dressed right.
But that's easily remedied here.
I think I'm going to look great. I love these boots. Look at them. They look hard-ridden. I believe the Sandman is enjoying this. What do you think? Great. The more boob, the better. That's what I always say. Very nice. Fantastic. Yeah, I know. I think I should dress like this all the time.
I'm getting into character. I've been given a role in this morning's performance to the tourists.
I am a whiskey-serving bar girl. Now, anyone who knows me is going to know that this is right in character. Really, really looking forward to this. Can't wait.
I've no idea what's going to happen, and I certainly wasn't expecting the can-can. I'll just keep smiling. I'm no expert, but I'd say this cowboy ain't happy. Steady on. I didn't think it would be quite so dramatic. That was really something.
I think that's over. I think I'm ready for a tequila. How much fun was that? I have had such a good morning. Living the dream, baby.
That's going to take some beating. But next, I'm going in search of the Spain I'm much more familiar with. Two hours inland, west of Almeria, you arrive in the thick of Andalusia's imposing alpine backdrop, the Sierra Nevada mountain range. its snowy peaks form the highest point in Spain. Its lower reaches, the Alpujarras, first enticed me here 15 years ago. 70 glorious kilometers that are a joy to explore.
I love the Alpujarras because they're fantastic for walking, and they are full of little tiny villages that are so far off the usual tourist trail that you still feel like you're getting some of the authentic Spain. I've been here a few times and I'd like to come a few more.
Unlike the dry conditions I've just experienced, here the snow-capped peaks keep the area verdant with trickling streams. And in one of the mountain villages, the water is particularly celebrated. The spa town of Lanjarón is famous for its mineral water, which you'll find bottled and sold throughout Spain. And the elderly and the ailing are drawn to its internationally renowned thermal baths, believing that the water has curative properties. But I've been warned not to expect anything too relaxing.
I'm a bit nervous, but people have been coming here for centuries. I figure it can't do me any harm and might do me some good. Hello.
Hello.
I'm Alex.
Hi, I'm Rachel. Welcome to the secret garden.
Thank you, lovely to meet you.
Okay, so we'll go this way, okay?
Thank you.
Here they don't just drink the water, they bathe in it. Cold, I hasten to add. It's not the most appealing bath I've ever seen.
Why is the water this colour?
The water is medicinal water, and it has a very high concentration of minerals.
Yeah.
It's very pure, and it's this colour because it's got a lot of iron in it.
Okay.
Oh well, in for a penny.
Is the temperature okay?
It's perfect.
It's perfect. Okay, so if you'd like to just relax. Okay, and I'll come back in 15 minutes,
Thanks,
okay?
Rachel.
All right, then, see you later.
Strangely unrelaxing. I can't imagine why. It's quite weird being in water this colour, though. It feels nice. Can't be anything but good for my skin.
This 15 minutes is starting to feel like a lifetime.
It's a bit chilly. Goosebumps.
Rachel isn't done with me yet. Next, a freezing shower.
Cold water from the Sierra Nevada.
That is lovely.
Yeah, to help your circulation.
That's really nice.
Tonifying.
Yeah.
That's good. Well done.
Lovely. It's got a very strong smell.
Yeah, no, it's the minerals in the water.
Slightly goose-pimply, but overall, fantastic.
If only we stopped there.
What's happening now?
Okay, Alex, now we're going to have a combination of rainfall, the monsoon, and then a high-pressured water jet.
Great.
Brave the monsoon.
Now this is cool.
Well done. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so now I'm going to give you the water, the hosing down.
Okay. Me.
Yeah.
Get on with it. God's sake, I'm freezing to death.
And it's €60 for this so-called relaxing experience. Thankfully, this isn't the only speciality that people come to this part of the world for.
This town, Lanjarón, is not only famous for its water, it's also famous for its ham. So if you're into that kind of thing, this is the place to come. I love jamón. It is one of life's pleasures and one that is not to be denied.
Jamones Gustavo Rubio is an authentic tapas bar. But it's the shop with an array of hams dangling from the ceiling that I'm interested in. A place which has been selling some of Spain's finest hams since 1945.
Gustavo.
Hola.
Hola, yo soy Alex Polizzi. Muy bien, gracias, encantada.
Gracias.
Gracias. What makes the hams here so special?
Para sacar un buen jamón, lo primero que tenemos que hacer es tener un buen producto en carne.
Sí.
El jamón que ponemos en sal tiene que ser un jamón que sea de hembra.
How he ends up with such a fantastic product is he works with a very good primary product. He also says the microclimate here is essential to the finished product because in the first month when it's salted, it's very cold and dry, and towards the end of the curing process, it's very warm and dry. Ibérico.
Ibérico, este jamón tiene 5 años de curación. 5 años.
Sí, sí. Those 5 years weren't wasted.
They say to get the most flavour from the ham, it's best enjoyed with a glass of red wine. Who am I to argue?
Delicious.
Este es vino tinto Alpujarra.
Salud.
Igual, jamón y vino, con jamón y vino se anda el camino.
So, the saying apparently is, with a lot of ham and wine, you can go a long time.
That's enough of an endorsement for me.
Yo tomo mucho jamón y mucho vino.
Perfecto.
¿Y sabe la edad que tengo?
20 años.
20 no, tengo 70.
Oh my God!
Pero tomo mucho jamón y mucho vino.
Well, that cheers me up. Normally, when you ask someone how they look so great so long, they say, well, I haven't smoked that much, I haven't drunk that much, and I lead a vegan life. No, instead, he's drunk a lot of wine and eaten a lot of ham, and he's 70 years old. I'm telling you, this stuff is good for you.
In truth, the clear air and the climate probably have something to do with it. And half an hour away in the remote wilds of the Alpujarras is a little-known hotel where you can enjoy the peace and tranquility. It's a place I've grown incredibly fond of.
I am so excited to be back here. I was last here about 15 years ago. I had a couple of visits, loved it. Can't believe it's taken me so long to come back.
My mother first recommended Alquería de Moraima to me, which looks out across the Sierra Nevada National Park.
Thank you. See you later. See you later.
Its 22 bedrooms feel like a real mountain retreat.
When I came here 15 years ago, it was because I like walking, and my mum and dad had done some walking in these mountains and suggested this is a good place to stay. It's amazing to think this was only done 20 years ago. It looks like something that's been here for hundreds of years. The ceiling's pretty bonkers. The tiles, the pictures, it's all done in very, very good taste.
The food is pretty good too. Chef Hugo has agreed to let me have a go at making a local speciality.
I'm being shown how to make a cold almond soup. Apparently, I've got to try and extract the almonds whole.
Using this rather archaic kitchen utensil. I have a feeling I'm being taken for a ride.
Okay, ¿cuánto?
200 gramos.
Okay, we'll be here a while. I've got to do 200 grams of this. Okay. Is this a wind-up? I mean, do you seriously do this every time you make almond soup, one by one? It seems very old-fashioned.
Uno a uno.
Uno a uno?
Sí.
These almonds are produced here. Nice surroundings to be cracking nuts in.
Que me parca ya para todo el verano.
Yeah, no. No. La vita è troppo corta.
La vida es muy corta, es muy larga y dura.
He's offered me a job for the summer, baking almonds for a living. Life's too bloody short, is what I replied. OK, next. Vai.
Dried bread whisked into breadcrumbs. And then the almonds, which I've now learnt are about to be ground.
I mean, honestly.
Un diente de ajo.
And then garlic, olive oil and vinegar.
All these measurements are to be made with 1 litre of water.
Una pizca de sal ya tu gusto.
And a little pinch of salt. It smells very garlicky to only have 1 clove of garlic in it.
To chill the soup, ice is added, followed by the final flourish, apple.
Apple and flowers to finish it off.
Está soso, pero...
Bueno.
Sí, ¿no? Aunque parezca increíble, ¿verdad?
It's really, it's got kind of texture to it, but it's not unpleasant. It's not milky. It's really good.
Next, I'll be doing plenty of walking as I arrive in Granada, site of one of my favourite places in the world. "45 minutes north of Lanjarón, within the foothills of the Sierra Nevada, the fascinating city of Granada lies waiting to be discovered. As the last stronghold of the Moors, much of its ancient architecture is still wonderfully preserved. Alongside its elegance, there is a definite grittiness about Granada. There is one majestic sight, though, that is anything but.
I've been to Granada a couple of times. There's lots of reasons why, but both times the main draw has been that structure up there on the hill, the Alhambra. Completely and utterly amazing.
It's absolutely worth braving the crowds for a visit to this Moorish palace perched high above the city. But today, I'm up at dawn and I'm really excited.
I've been given access to the Alhambra early in the morning before anyone else is in here. Only the cleaners are still here. And just to see it without the crowds, this is luxury beyond compare. It is so quiet and so peaceful, so serene. So bloody beautiful. 17 years ago, I came here to Granada. And I couldn't believe that this existed and I'd never been here before. It's staggering.
The Alhambra is one of those places that makes you run out of superlatives. The depth of detail is astonishing for what was once a functioning palace and military fortress.
There's so much here to look at. These tiles have been copied again and again and again. And no one has ever bested the original.
Today, it's one of Spain's most visited attractions and a World Heritage Site, and deservedly so, in my opinion.
I don't know enough about Moorish culture. But I mean, this is the pinnacle of its expression. And the fact that it's stood the test of the centuries, so intact. It's nothing short of miraculous. My mother always says, anywhere that we go, you must look up and you must look down. Nowhere is that more true than here. All you can hear is the birds, and then there's this wonderful perfume from these jasmine hedges. It's almost overwhelming. There's nothing like this anywhere in the world. I mean, The word unique is so overused. But here, the Alhambra really is unique in the true sense of the word.
Incredibly, most visitors to the Alhambra only manage to see around 20% of what's here, leaving much of these grounds undiscovered.
I think the palaces are rightly acknowledged as being masterpieces in their own right. But I think any visitor would ignore the gardens to their detriment.
Ignacio is one of nearly 40 gardeners that maintain the grounds of the Alhambra. And today he's taking me to parts rarely discovered by visitors.
We're going through a bit that's closed to members of the general public. Yes!
Yes.
Always makes me very, very excited. Look at this. Very impressive. Oh my gosh. It's wonderful.
Yep. These trees, I think they were introduced by the Romans.
Yeah. Okay. How old is this tree?
It could be 500 years, yeah.
The perfectly manicured courtyards and flowing gardens all tell a story from their place in history. But what's really astonishing is the abundant use of water cascading from features. When the Moors arrived, water was a precious commodity, so to use it decoratively would have been seen as the height of luxury.
So this is the cascade.
Yep.
Very impressive too. Lovely. The water's ice cold. So fresh.
It comes directly from the river.
Which is where? Up in La Sierra?
Exactly. And the Arabs took, Mohammed I took the water 7 kilometers away. And from there, just distribute the water.
But they were ingenious engineers.
Yeah.
I mean,
of course, they were after the Romans. Just think about it.
Yeah.
They know everything about aqueductos, molinos.
They built upon what they already knew from the Romans and improved on it. Well, it's true.
Romans were very good engineers.
We were the first, and we were obviously pretty much the best. But all right, I'll let the Moors have this at least.
Well, look at this.
Oh my goodness gracious me!
This is my favorite point of view here in the orchards.
Oh my goodness, I'm scared of heights. I'm not going too near the edge. What an amazing view!
It's a reminder of the complex history that surrounds the Alhambra.
This is an amazing viewpoint because you really see the separation of Granada and the Alhambra, but you also just see how connected they are.
Exactly.
The Alhambra affords a magnificent view of the Albaicin, the oldest part of Granada. This is where the citizens would have lived in medieval times, the narrow cobbled streets offering shade from the intense sun. Today, it's a strangely evocative place to wander, because this is a city reputed for its ancient crafts.
I've come to see Taracea, which is a craft genuinely unique to Granada.
Taracea is one of the oldest traditions being preserved here. An art form originating from North Africa, it arrived with the Moorish rule and has endured the centuries.
Buenas tardes. Alex,
Toma is one of the last Taracea craftsmen, and his workshop is full of incredible pieces. The striking patterns are created using a complex and intricate process of inlaying exotic wood with bones, precious stones, or metal.
Wow. And the stone is el tibia del toro. It's the tibia of a bull.
Esto va en hogar limoncillo, esto raíz de olivo, en fin, diferentes chapas para combinar los coloridos distintos. Esto ya es otra cosa diferente.
Look at this too. It's very pretty. Thomas painstakingly creates boxes, furniture and pieces that are designed to surprise. Oh my goodness gracious me, look, there's a courtyard of lions. That is amazing. My goodness.
Con de León.
I mean, I want one. What else can I say? Oh my gosh, look. This is like a toy shop for grown-ups. Look, and they've got little secret drawers. It's amazing. You can't feel any join. It's mad. It's as smooth as if it was vinyl, honestly. Can't believe it only takes him a year and a half. Thomas has been crafting Taracea since he was 11 years old. So he's done it almost 70 years. Trabajando. Working and working hard, he says. But it's a dying art. There is one tradition, however, that's still as strong as ever in this city, as I'm about to discover. You haven't truly burrowed to the heart of Granada's culture until you've encountered that most famous and passionate art of expression, flamenco. This intense performance captivates audiences all around the world, but has been danced here in its true home for centuries. While the flamenco dancer engages with the audience, the guitar player plays with passion. And the instrument has just as big a bearing on the performance as I'm about to learn. Yes. Yo soy Alex. Encantada. Daniel makes flamenco guitars. It takes 3 months to build one. A guitar, he says, is built with the individual personality of the player in mind. When someone comes to you to make them a guitar, what do you have to think about? What do you have to consider?
Lo primero que tengo que pensar es a quién va dirigida, qué tipo de música toca, qué temperamento tiene, o incluso cómo abraza la guitarra. El que me varíe la técnica de así a así me cambia la acción de la cuerda y tengo que tener una concepción distinta de trabajo.
You have to be a really good judge of character, I think, to do this job. When you hear one of the guitars you've made, do you recognise it?
Por supuesto. Esto sería como ver a mi hijo pasar por la calle y digo, por ahí va mi hijo. Igual, el sonido es similar.
It's like seeing his son on the street and he goes, hi. Daniel refers to a flamenco guitar like a person. Every part of the guitar is named after a part of the body.
Tenemos lo que sería la boca, tendríamos la parte de arriba, que serían los hombros, la parte del centro, que sería la cintura, la parte inferior, que serían las caderas, la parte de atrás, que sería el fondo o espalda, la parte del mango, que sería el cuello, y la parte superior, que sería la cabeza. La diferencia entre una guitarra clásica o una flamenca es como si fuera la diferencia entre las personas, hombres y mujeres. La similitud es en la raíz, pero la diferencia es muy grande. Hay diferencias de carácter, de temperamento.
So, is the flamenco guitar a man or a woman?
La guitarra flamenca, como es muy temperamental, muy dinámica, yo diría que es la mujer.
Very temperamental, very hot-tempered. Must be a woman.
Pero es una opinión personal, ¿eh?
That's his personal opinion, he's careful to say. You're most likely to experience flamenco in the west of the city, beyond the Albaicin, an atmospheric area with a colourful history. This is the Sacramonte district of Granada. This area is particularly well known for its gypsies who have lived here in caves for centuries. It's believed that in these very caves, flamenco was born. Spanish Romany gypsies have populated the Sacromonte since the 1800s. Their homes, these caves built into the ravine, were said to have been constructed by Muslims over 500 years ago. It's got a very different feeling and character. This area definitely feels on the fringes of the city, just like the Roma have been on the fringes of society for centuries. Living conditions in these caves weren't easy for the gypsies. Then, in 1963, came disastrous floods, wiping out the homes of thousands of families, forcing them to leave the Sacromonte. It marked the beginning of the end for a tight-knit, thriving community. But over the years, gradually many have started to return, reclaiming their homes. Now, the caves aren't lived in, but many have been transformed into venues that celebrate the eternally popular flamenco. Buenas tardes.
Hola, buenas. ¿Cómo estamos?
Sí, yo bien.
Kiki is a gypsy who was born and raised here.
Sí.
He's transformed his granny's cave into this atmospheric little bar, decorated with all of her possessions.
Y allí había dormitorios.
So,
Dos dormitorios y todos dormíamos en el suelo. Como no había dinero, pues dormíamos en el suelo. Dormían en el suelo con una manta. Como antiguamente una manta y ya está. Y dormíamos y estábamos fuertes y dormíamos ahí en el suelo.
Kiki's granny was a flamenco dancer.
¿Y tú? Guitarrista.
Yo guitarrista, toco la guitarra.
Sí.
Kiki told me that life as a child here was all about freedom and that dancing and playing Spanish guitar was something you learned from a very young age.
What is flamenco to you? What does it mean to you? Why? What is the expression of flamenco?
Pues bueno, pues que nos hemos criado desde niños así. Desde niños, desde que nacimos, pues hemos sentido la guitarra, hemos sentido el baile, nuestra mamá ha bailado, el papá toca la guitarra, toda la familia, y lo lleva en la sangre, y entonces pues bailar.
Let me tell you, this life has done Kiki no harm.
This man is 90 years old. And I had to say to him that it can only be because he's not married. I mean, look at me, I'm 20 and I look 44. And he says he stays cheerful and he has great spirit and wonderful skin, all of which is true. He's just a miracle. What a lovely person to meet.
Adorning the walls of Kiki's cave are photographs of famous dancers. One of them a true legend. A man who's agreed to give me a lesson. Manuele Santiago, known simply as Manolete, is widely regarded as the king of flamenco, not just here in Spain, but around the world.
This is a man who's at the pinnacle of the art form. And it's very rare for me to say this, but I'm actually kind of slightly dry-mouthed from nerves. I've never done anything like this before. He's so well known. I bought some new dancing shoes. Obviously, you know, I don't want to look like a complete tit in front of this man. Manolete, buenas tardes.
Hola.
Hola, yo soy Alex Polizzi. Encantada.
Encantado.
Thank you.
This man is 70 years old, and he was born here in the Sacromonte district into one of the biggest gypsy flamenco dynasties, the Maya. After moving to Madrid, he found fame touring the world with other dancing greats. Now people come to him to learn as he teaches from his incredible studio.
So, how long have you been dancing flamenco?
Sí, ayer.
6 years old.
Welcome in the group.
Is there still the same passion now? Culturally, is there still the same passion to learn flamenco?
Sí, hay la misma cultura Y viene mucha gente fuerte, artistas de cine como Tony Quinn, Frank Sinatra,
sí.
Sofía Loren, viene mucha gente. Obama estaba aquí. Obama.
Sí, sí.
También la mujer de Obama.
Obama and his wife came
Estaba
here
en las
to
cuevas,
watch some flamenco.
En las cuevas, viendo las cuevas
Wow.
flamencas, sí. Mucha gente muy grande,
Sí.
muy grande. Hay mucha gente que le gusta más el flamenco.
Sí.
This lightning-fast footwork takes years to master. The guitar drives the rhythm, but hand clapping is also used, or tapping, as Manolete is doing. UNESCO have recognized this as a true masterpiece, and I can understand why.
Bravi.
It's mesmerizing, and also slightly terrifying that I've been asked to dance with Manolete.
That's pretty mind-blowing. Don't say that lightly. First of all, it's so fit, so sexy.
Do you know what? I don't think I can go through with this.
I bought these shoes, and they're going back to the shop. You know, I've embarrassed myself 1,000 ways in my life, and I really don't want this to be the 1,001st. He's a prince, a god amongst mortals. Ask me to strip naked and run through the streets of Granada, and I would seriously consider it. Just spare me this. Spare me this one thing. I can't do it.
My journey is taking me to Western Andalusia, where Spain's most popular and most hidden corners coexist. I'll be reliving the Hollywood heydays of the Costa del Sol, discovering the sherry capital of the world, the beautiful town of Jerez, venturing south to the oldest city in Europe, Cadiz, before heading back inland to soak in the romance of Seville, one of Spain's most iconic cities. I'm beginning my adventure in the Costa del Sol, a place many of us are very fond of. It caters to such a variety of tastes and wallets. Estepona, Torremolinos, Puerto Banús, all familiar names for the British holidaymaker.
When I think of the Costa del Sol, I think about how built up it is. It was one of the first areas really to be colonized by the expats.
Its brightest star is Marbella, a place that hardly needs an introduction. Known as an international party destination, over 2.5 million tourists flock here every year to see and be seen. But if you look hard enough, you can still find a tranquil oasis here.
Certainly wasn't expecting this natural beauty that I'm finding, which is really striking. There's just the sea and masses of green. It's not at all what I expected. But then I am in one of the most exclusive hotels of the area.
This is the Marbella Club Hotel, and it is here that the story of modern-day Marbella began. It's almost impossible to believe that as recently as 1946, Marbella was just a sleepy fishing village. Then a visionary aristocrat called Prince Alfonso bought the land. In 1954, he opened the hotel, and it's been hosting Hollywood film stars and A-list celebrities ever since. I'm meeting Julian, the director here, to find out more.
Good morning, Alex.
How are you?
Great to see you, Alex.
Lovely to see you. Thank you so much.
Sit down.
Can you tell me about the genesis of the hotel? How did it come about?
When Prince Alfonso first opened the hotel, it was a way to meet his friends and to be with the people that he loved. It was a hobby. It wasn't intended to be a luxury hotel at all, and not even really a business. Everybody that came here came by invitation, and that creates a special environment which we protect. The spirit of the club remains. And Prince Alfonso made it like that. It was unwillingly and organically becoming a luxury because of the exclusivity and how difficult it was to come if you were not invited.
With this royal seal of approval, the hotel suddenly changed Marbella's fortune forever and turned it into the playground of the rich and famous.
They say in the 60s, it took you 3 years of waiting list to get a room in Marbella Club. All the people that has been here, from Audrey Hepburn, Sean Connery, the Duke of Windsor, queens, princesses, royalties from all around the world, everybody you can imagine.
To what extent would you say that the development of Marbella and the development of the hotel are interlinked?
If you look at how Marbella is developed, everything is developed around Marbella Club. We're in the center of the Golden Mile. The Golden Mile is the center of Marbella, and everything else is around it.
Yeah.
Marbella developed and became known in the world because of Marbella Club. And at the same time, Marbella Club is linked to Marbella. One without the other don't exist.
So it's a symbiotic relationship.
It's completely symbiotic.
Just like Marbella, the hotel has grown massively since its understated beginnings. And Julian wants to show me where it all started.
Show me around, please.
Thank you.
Very well.
So from those first 20 rooms, how much has the hotel expanded now?
Well, right now we have a total of 130 units, including 16 villas.
And how far does the property extend?
It covers approximately 50,000 square meters in total.
Roughly the same size as Windsor Castle. These villas have been a retreat for some of the world's most talked about celebrities. But right at the heart of the resort is its most important building.
So, welcome to our Kids Club.
Thank you very much. Looking forward to seeing it.
Where everything started. This was the house of Prince Alfonso. This was the doors of his villa. And the entire area that we are seeing here, which is 5,000 square meters in total, is now the Hotel Kids Club. This is how everything starts.
Prince Alfonso passed away in 2006, but there is still someone around who has lived through the heydays of the hotel.
Hello, sir.
Oh, how happy to see you.
Very nice to meet you.
Sit down
Thank
a
you.
moment.
Thank you very much. It's lovely to be here.
I'm glad you made it to Marbella.
In 1957, Count Rudy was brought in to run the hotel by his cousin, Prince Alfonso, and he is the mastermind behind the hotel's enduring fame.
Tell me something about what it was like in the beginning.
The main idea of Prince Alfonso was always to have a smart country club. We really had the best parties, but there was never fountains of French champagne. No, there was some lovely Spanish wine which the people enjoyed drinking, or sometimes just the sangria.
This pool was a scene of some of the most infamous and decadent parties. From informal dinners to crazy fancy dress, Count Rudy really has seen it all.
There was the Simeon of Bulgaria, the king of Bulgaria, and he dressed up as Fidel Castro. And Fidel Castro, didn't imagine that in this room was sitting, let's say, the former president or dictator of Cuba, who nearly fainted away when he saw Castro coming in. And he looked so similar. It was so well, and they had so much good sense of humor, and that was very much the sense here.
Although he stopped working here in 1983, Count Rudy still comes in every single day to check that the hotel is just the way he left it.
When you arrive, you feel the atmosphere. That's what makes the Marbella Club cherish particularly those who really fit here.
Yes, you appreciate what it is that you're trying to do. But I think isn't that the holy grail of any hotelier? The independent hotelier makes a hotel very much in his own image. And then the trick is to find people who enjoy the same thing as you like.
You speak out of my heart.
Incredibly, all of Count Rudi's work was nearly undone in the 1990s, when corruption and scandal in the town hall came desperately close to bankrupting the entire city. But Marbella fought back and was able to maintain its status as Costa del Sol's hottest spot.
I'm very, very impressed that it's managed to pull off the trick of staying relevant so many years after it was first stylish.
Marbella and the Costa del Sol tell only one part of Andalusia's story. I'm about to discover its wild side.
It makes a pretty good show.
I've travelled 2 hours west of Marbella to Costa de la Luz, in Spanish, the Coast of Light. And with 300 days of sunshine a year, this remote wild corner of southwest Spain lives up to its name. But despite the bright blue skies, golden sand and sapphire seas, this region remains largely undiscovered by mass tourism. This feels like the real Andalusia. The ancient town of Jerez is a great starting point.
I'm walking through this charming, cobbled historic centre. I've never been here before, but I really like Jerez.
Unlike Marbella, Old Jerez feels quintessentially Spanish. It has a laid-back charm, thanks in part to sherry, because Jerez is the sherry capital of the world. Historically, the English have always been its biggest consumers. William Shakespeare was obsessed by it. It was so popular in the 17th and 18th centuries that many British entrepreneurs set up their own wineries in the area. Some of those Brits never left. Paula is a Spanish Brit whose family has been in the business for 4 generations. Over 40 years in the wine trade have taught her what a unique treasure we have in sherry.
Paula, when did the British love affair with sherry begin?
Oh, it goes back a long, long time. It was 1587, I think, Francis Drake arrived. He was well, a lot of these English sailors were a real pest to the Spaniards. And they raided the harbour at Cadiz, and they had something like 800 barrels of sherry waiting to be loaded onto the Armada ships. And so Drake stole them and took them back to good Queen Bess, who decided that this was wonderful stuff. And what the Queen drank, of course, everybody else felt they should drink.
English people ended up owning lots of bodegas, didn't they?
Yes.
When was that? When did that start becoming...
Well, really, towards the end of the 18th century in any big scale. And the 18th and 19th centuries are really when sherry developed into what we know today.
Why is it that you think that sherry fell out of fashion?
Well, it fell out of fashion because it was shipped in such vast quantities. So overproduction, oversupply, far too cheap, and collapsing market. So it all went completely bust. They ripped up more than half the vineyard that was planted.
And what do you think has reversed that trend?
Quality. We're on to, a couple of generations later, and people have got a much more open mind.
Yeah.
And so they're seeing sherry for what it is. It's absolutely wonderful stuff, and it's completely unique. They've been growing wine here for well over 3,000 years. No other wine in the world is remotely like it.
Jerez, along with the towns of Sanlúcar and Puerto de Santa Maria, forms the Sherry Triangle. Here, all of the world's sherry is produced. And I happen to be here during the busiest time of the year, the annual grape harvest. Every September, over 21,000 acres of vineyard are buzzing, with thousands of workmen gathering grapes which will then be crafted into fine sherry.
Hola. Hi.
Enrique works in one of the area's oldest wineries, and he is going to show me how things were done in times past.
Voy a presentarte a los amigos míos.
Okay.
Vale. This is Pepin.
Pepin?
A machine.
A machine. Ooh. Machine. Why is he called the machine?
Because he's strong.
Encantada. Okay.
Pepin is the boss of the vineyard.
Okay.
Capataz,
Okay.
en español.
Sherry is so unique that only 3 varieties of grape can be used to make it: Palomino, Muscatel, and Pedro Jimenez.
Can I try one?
Yes, please.
Thank you. Mmm.
Very sweet.
Very delicious.
Good?
Delicious. I've tried the grapes that you make wine with before, and they are very sour. These are so sweet. Now what happens with these grapes?
Machine?
Machine.
Máquina. Máquina, en Spanish. El máquina va a coger las uvas y va a hacer mosto.
Sí.
Pues.
Ahora a subirme arriba.
The juice extracted from freshly pressed grapes is called must and is the first crucial step of winemaking.
His special grape squashing boots are on. This is not the way, of course, you do this on an industrial scale. They're just showing us how it was done once upon a time. Makes a pretty good show. Surely they'd have done it barefoot. What is all this newfangled boot rubbish?
Esto es yema, ¿no?
La primera prensa
se
llama yema.
Apparently because of its likeness in colour to an egg yolk. This is the best must and is used to produce Fino and Manzanilla, the palest, driest and highest quality sherries.
Well, you kind of can't see how much juice is in there yet, although it's making a pleasant squelchy sound, so it's obviously working.
The grapes will then be squashed again and the second pressing will be turned into Oloroso, a darker and richer sherry.
Can you imagine if the machine had to do 1 million litres like this? Might take a while.
Like many of us, I've always seen sherry as a fusty OAP's drink, but maybe I've been too quick to dismiss it.
Vamos a probar.
Sí.
Primero manzanilla.
Bodegas Barón dates back to 1631, and these original oak barrels are 400 years old.
What's the process of making the manzanilla?
Biológico.
It's a biological process.
El mosto que ha recogido Pepín y el máquina.
Sí.
Para hacerse manzanilla son 4 años.
The real magic of sherry making happens right here, thanks to a complex aging process, the right temperature, and most importantly, centuries of knowledge.
I'm very excited. It smells delicious. I want to put some on my wrists and on my ears.
15 grados.
15 degrees of alcohol. Oh, well, things I must do for my art.
Sherry is a fortified wine, which means additional alcohol has been added during fermentation, bringing the alcohol content higher than your average glass of vino.
It literally smells like a summer's day to me. It's that dry. It feels quite sun-bleached. I don't know how else to describe it. It's delicious.
Son 400 años de historia.
It's gone down the ages very well.
The longer the sherry sits in the cask and oxidizes, the stronger it becomes. The Amontillado I'm going to drink has just turned 50.
I don't know if I've had Amontillado before, but 20 degrees is packing a certain punch. It's not quite lunchtime yet. The day's looking up. It smells much sweeter, but it's still very dry. Look at that colour. It's beautiful. This is so precious that only the family drink it.
There are 10 different varieties of sherry, but at this pace, I doubt I'll be able to try them all.
Ahora vamos a probar el Pedro Jiménez.
Okay, but only a little bit.
Okay. Es el vino más dulce de Jerez.
Oh my God. Look at that pouring. That looks like treacle. Look how dark it is. Mm. This type of sherry is the type of sherry that you quite often get over at your granny's house just before Christmas. I mean, that's what the smell reminds me of. Mm. It's very sweet. My head's feeling fine. It's my legs that are struggling.
Time to eat. I'm off to Sanlúcar seafront, where I've been told I can find the best food. The winery's proximity to the Atlantic gives sherry its special flavour, but it also means that locals are spoilt with the fresher seafood. Whether it's tuna, king prawns or clams you fancy, the star ingredient remains the same.
Around here, sherry isn't only drunk, it's also used in cooking. And there's a term, maridaje, which means the perfect marital pairing between an ingredient and the liquid that it's used to cook in this case, sherry. Gracias. Fantástico, muchas gracias. This is prawns cooked in amontillado sherry with mushrooms. Yummy. Mm. I would have laid odds against me liking a dish that combined prawns with mushrooms. Somehow the sherry makes it all work together.
There's much more to sherry than I ever imagined, and I surely won't be indulging only at Christmas.
All I can say is, after today, I realise that Sir Francis Drake did have the right idea when he first sacked Cadiz and started off the British love affair with sherry. I haven't been a big sherry drinker until now, but I think that's going to change.
But sherry isn't the only surprise that this area has in store for me.
I don't know what I'm more impressed by, the horses or the riders.
I've slept off the sherry haze and I'm ready to continue my tour. But I'm not ready to leave Jerez just yet. This part of the world is not only known for its sherry, it's also famous for its horses. Described as the noblest horse in the world, the Andalusian is an imposing animal of extraordinary beauty, elegance and poise. These horses are like no other. And the place to see these magnificent beasts is the Royal Andalusian School of Equestrian Art.
This is an astonishing complex. It was bought in 1976 by the Spanish government, especially to set up this equestrian centre here. And I don't think that we have got anything to compare with it in our country.
It may be an idyllic setting, but this is not an environment I feel comfortable in. I have a fear of our equine friends.
I'm not the kind of person who's longing to take my turn on the back of one. Happy to admire from a distance. I definitely appreciate the skill of the rider and the beauty of the animal. They say these horses dance.
What I'm about to see is exceptional, to say the least. 150,000 visitors come here every year to watch the intricate choreographies and dance steps performed by the horses. Rafael Soto, a dressage champion and Olympic medalist, is the man in charge of the show.
What is particular about this breed, about the Andalusian breed?
It's very old breeding. Has more than 500 years history.
Yes.
All the royal houses in Europe, England, France, they were very appreciated because they were horses for kings, with very nice action, good brain, good for the war because they were very brave.
Yes.
And noble
Do you think there's a particular bond between an Andalusian man and a horse?
Everywhere in the world, the people breed horses how they are.
Yes. So you think that the Spanish man is particularly graceful, clever?
And well, I don't think
brave.
so, but brave and proud. You will see now performing, and it's very, very nice horse. He moves with a lot of class, and the jumps he do is very natural because it comes from his nature.
I have not often been this close to a horse before, but Raphael's calm confidence has put me at ease.
I am behind the scenes of the performance, and there are a lot of horses here in quite a small space. I'm amazed at how calm I'm being, but they are truly magnificent animals, and they're under such control. There's some very handsome young men. I don't know what I'm more impressed by, the horses or the riders.
I can't wait to see them in action. This equestrian ballet is all put together using movements based upon a mixture of classical dressage and country-style riding. Although Andalusian horses are the stars of the show, trainers and handlers are just as important as they spot the potential from an early age. None of these heart-stopping acrobatics could be achieved without a solid bond of trust between horses and riders. It's no surprise that these animals are chosen when they are 3 and trained in the school for many, many years.
I'm not a horsey person. I don't ride.
After this day, for sure.
How important is the horse to Andalusian culture?
Here in Andalusia, because the land is so rich, there were always horses and breeders of horses, you know? And of course for Jerez and the wine, the horses, the flamenco. It's part of the culture. The history was very important, but it passed away because there was no school.
Yeah.
And then he created a school for that reason.
So what you're doing is very important work to maintain this traditional
the
and
tradition
this culture.
of the culture of the Spanish horse and the classical dressage.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Riding horses might be a step too far for me, but the cleverness and docile nature of these creatures has been an eye-opener.
I've enjoyed this so much more than I expected to, partly because of the skill and professionalism shown by the horses and the riders, of course, but mainly because it's always so inspiring to see people who really care about keeping a tradition alive. It would be a shame for this to be lost, and also for us to forget how important the horse was to the shaping of this land.
I'm leaving Jerez and heading half an hour south to a little-known treasure of southern Spain, the bleached white city of Cádiz. This legendary city is criminally overlooked by tourists. The people that do come here say how reminiscent it is of Havana. In reality, it's the other way around. 3 of Christopher Columbus's 5 trips to America started from right here. Like many explorers before, my first glimpse of Cádiz is from the sea.
It's where so many ships set off for America. There was enormous trade here. And so it's a wonderful meeting point of East and West. I've never been here before. I'm very excited.
This mishmash of exotic beauty comes from the blend of many civilizations: Phoenicians, Moors, Romans, and many others. Reputedly Europe's oldest city, the harbour was responsible for Cadiz's prosperity. Merchants needed to keep an eye on the sea, and every townhouse of any importance had its own watchtower. The best known is the Torre Tavira, which is where I'm meeting Belén Dorao.
Hi, Belén.
Hello, Alex.
So nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Welcome to Torre Tavira.
I'm very excited to be here. It's amazing. You see literally the whole city laid out beneath you. It's quite an astonishing view.
Yes.
Cádiz once had 180 watchtowers, of which 126 are still standing. Back in the 17th and 18th centuries, each city had its own flag so that it could be identified from the watchtowers. It is thought that an early incarnation of a stock market came from that system. As soon as a ship full of tobacco was arriving into town, people would lower the price to sell as quickly as possible.
And why is this an important tower?
Well, it was, in the 18th century, the official watchtower of the port of Cádiz in 1778. And you can see all around, that's the port of Cádiz, and you can even see a cruise leaving. Can you see it over there?
I can.
Being the highest lookup point, you get to control the whole town. So that was why it was so important then, in the 18th century. And nowadays, there's not a watchman here, but we have the camera obscura that surveys and watches everything.
Belén first saw the camera obscura during a trip to Edinburgh, and in 1994 she was able to translate her vision into reality.
I loved the camera obscura and the magic of the movement. And then I thought, well, if it works there, why not in Cádiz? And I started coming here and looking at all the watchtowers and looking at many high places in the town. And then I came up to this tower. You know, I just saw this view and I thought the camera obscura has to be here. And it's the first camera obscura in Spain.
It pretty much works like a pinhole camera. On top of the tower is a periscope containing a mirror, which reflects the outside light down into a dark room, creating a real-time projection of what is happening around us.
Let's just see this. So I'm now opening the mirror and letting the light come in from the outside. And the sun, there we go.
Oh, amazing.
You can touch it.
Touch the sun, touch left.
Yeah, you're very lucky. And
very exciting.
This now is the southern part of the town.
Look how pretty that is.
Do you remember that ship that we saw leaving? Look at it. It's over here. And what's really fascinating and what fascinated the people in the 19th century was the movement. Nowadays, we have phones and we have the cinema and we have the TV, but in those days, they didn't have any of that. So when they saw this, it was like, wow.
I love the whooshing blowing in there.
Yes.
And people walking into a house. It's kind of hyper-realist. It's like magic.
Yes, it's magical.
Cádiz has been quite a discovery, but next I'm off to be charmed by Spain's most romantic city.
I love you. Fantastic.
I couldn't come to this corner of Spain without exploring its greatest treasure, sun-soaked Seville. Spain's fourth largest city, it's impossible not to be seduced by Seville. It's a hot, passionate, colourful city. A city of heartbreaking operas and fiery flamenco. And like all great cities, Seville has many historical layers, many of them connected to its river, the Guadalquivir.
This is very lovely. I'm on the river in Seville. It goes all the way to Cadiz. And I enjoyed it so much when I first came here. I think it was the first time I felt I'd touched real Spain.
A very relaxing way to discover the lively city of Seville is by cruise, and you can hop in a silent electric boat to enjoy the visit in peace and quiet. My guide, César, has been sailing the river for 4 years, and he assures me this is the best way to learn Seville's history.
So are you a civilian?
Yeah.
Born and bred?
Yes.
Tell me about this river, then.
And It's the main artery of the city. The city has grown both sides to the river. Here we have on the left side, Betis Street, and as you can see, all the beautiful, colorful houses. They say that when this was the harbor of Seville, sailors found they go directly when they have to unload the cargo, they put the color of the houses. So we can say, for example, that the blue house was for the fish, the red house was for the meat, and the green house was for the veggies. That's, we call it, the smallest cathedral of the world, because before this bridge was built in 1852, we have reached a pontoon, a bridge of boats. And the poor people from Triana, that most of them didn't know even how to swim, when they tried to cross the river, many of them fell into the canal and they died. That's why they put the smallest cathedral there every time they were trying to cross, to pray from the road to the Virgin to come back alive.
The boat is not the only way to see the city, and as the streets are often clogged with traffic, the best way to do it is by bike.
You wouldn't expect it, but Seville is a fantastic city to cycle around. There's 75 miles of cycle lanes here, and especially during siesta time, hardly another soul on the streets.
Seville is the biking capital of Spain, and I have embarked on a tour to discover its most hidden gems. This city is home to the world's third largest cathedral, and religion has always played a very important role here. As a result, there are lots of convents scattered around the city centre. And if you've got a sweet tooth, my first stop is right up your street.
There are over 22 monasteries and convents like this one here in Seville. The nuns here supplement their income in a rather unusual manner.
Many of these convents offer snacks and treats crafted behind closed doors, and I'm about to try the sweetest one.
I hope I'm not interrupting prayers. Sí, hola, señora. Medio kilo, por favor.
Una caja de medio kilo.
Sí, por favor. It's an enclosed order, which means that the nuns never come face to face with anyone from the outside world.
Aquí tiene.
Okay, gracias, señora. Here they are.
These delicacies are called yemas.
This is a candied egg yolk. Never had anything like this before. I don't have a terribly sweet tooth, but it's so appealing how it arrives.
Yemas are made by dipping egg yolks in sugar syrup, and the recipe is strictly guarded by the nuns.
That is very sweet. The rumour is the reason that they're so good here at San Leandro is because they use holy water to make them.
After that heavenly snack, I'm ready to discover another secret which makes the city truly unique. When thinking of fashion, Spain is perhaps not the first nation that comes to mind. However, it's home to many high street and designer fashion labels such as Zara and Mango. And tucked away in Seville's narrow alleys are the pioneers of bridal fashion.
Alec! Hi, Alec. Guapa, guapa.
Vittorio y Lucchino are passionate advocates of Seville, and they built their world-famous empire from here.
Encantada.
And luckily, they approve of my outfit.
Entonces, hay una interpretación.
Yes.
De los años 50, pues tienes que actuar como una señora de los años 50.
Muchas gracias.
Y tienes que moverte ideal.
Así.
Perfecto. Que moverte así. Un poco Doris Day, Adrien Herbu.
Compliments. I love a compliment.
Their timeless and extravagant creations are inspired by the strong, independent and sensual image of the Andalusian woman. Their atelier alone is fuel for imagination. They are based in the birthplace of Diego Velázquez, one of Spain's most iconic painters.
What a lovely room. It's fantástico.
Thank you. Esto aquí era donde pintaba Velázquez, donde vivía,
Sí.
porque era una casa popular en la cual vivían 14 familias. Entonces hay duendes
Sí.
y yo creo que salen los trajes tan bonitos y las joyas porque yo creo que Velázquez viene y nos ayuda a inspirarnos. Más la luz de la ciudad. Es una ciudad maravillosa.
Ciudades bonitas hay muchas en el mundo,
Sí.
pero el secreto de Sevilla es ese duende, es algo como mágico.
I love what you're saying because it's so passionate. I love how excited you are about everything you do.
Staying true to their roots didn't stop them from taking over the world's most prestigious catwalks from Tokyo to New York.
Nosotros comercialmente no hubiese sido tan interesante quedarnos en Sevilla y dijimos, nos da igual, hemos ido a muchísimos sitios con nuestro trabajo, pero desde aquí.
What gave Vittorio y Luchino such a reputation is their pioneering contribution to the fashion world. In 1984, they launched the first ever ready-to-wear bridal collection, and it was a breakthrough, as today Spain is the second largest exporter of bridal fashion in the world. And it's all thanks to their unique surroundings.
Llevamos el mundo, digamos, de flamenco,
Sí.
pero sin ser obvio. Es una forma nueva,
Gosh, look how beautiful.
una forma nueva de ver un volante. Cuando se lo pone una mujer al andar, es maravilloso porque
Sí.
crea como
The
que está
shape.
vivo.
Sí. I like dresses. I wouldn't want to get married again, but there's nothing to stop me making one of these things in a different colour, is there?
I love you. Es fantástico. ¿Cómo lo expliqué en la número 1?
I feel very validated and complimented and inspired by Vittorio and Luchino. They represent everything that's wonderful in the city: passion, beauty, romance, inspiration. What a lovely way to spend your life.
I have saved the best for last. My third stop is a witness of Seville's ever-evolving spirit. And if you're into unusual architecture, this will be your cup of tea. The Metropole Parasol is the world's largest wooden structure and also the biggest building to be held together by glue. It was built to provide more shade, a sought-after commodity in Seville's scorching heat. But people mostly come here to enjoy the views.
I am looking out over this gorgeous city, Seville, and the end of the southern part of my trip. I think this part of Spain really calls to me because it does just feel so passionate. And you see that in how passionate people are about their sherry, about the different food culture, about the way that people talk about what they're doing in their everyday lives. It's amazingly blended. It's historic past and its fervent future. I've really fallen in love with it.
My Spanish adventure is nearing its end.
It's staggering.
And what I've experienced of this country so far has amazed me at every step. My tour began in the northeast of Spain. I got excited in Pamplona.
I got goosebumps.
Emotional in Barcelona.
It is just unusual, this level of trust, this mad thing that actually means something. It's very, very moving.
On the East Coast, Valencia tickled my taste buds.
I mean, this is like my perfect afternoon.
Cheers! I was bowled over by Benidorm.
That's it. I'm going home.
In the south, I felt such passion in Granada.
That's pretty mind-blowing.
On the west coast, I tasted history in Jerez.
It's delicious. It's gone down the ages very well.
Inland, the majesty of Madrid moved me.
Wow. What an amazing place.
And Salamanca seduced me.
What's not to like?
Now I've almost come full circle as I reach my final destination, the enigmatic region of Galicia.
There's nothing like this anywhere in the world.
At the northwest tip of the Iberian Peninsula, Galicia feels far removed from the rest of Spain, more akin to Cornwall than Andalusia. With its lush green landscapes and wide, sweeping bays, it's one of the most beautiful but least discovered regions of this country. Here, I'll journey into the heart of Spanish history. I'll unearth the dark corner of Spain's past in the forests of neighboring Castilla y León, before finishing, like so many thousands of pilgrims, in the ancient city of Santiago de Compostela. But my starting point is a rugged stretch of coast that's home to a little-known prehistoric sea creature. There's more coastline in Galicia than any other region of Spain. You will find rocky headlands and cliffs that cascade down to remote sandy beaches. One stretch is particularly alluring, with its haunting and ominous name, the Costa del Morte.
Costa de la Muerte is a very evocative term. It means coastline of the dead. It's a big Atlantic swell here. People who depend on it for their livelihood do so at their peril.
Here, local men and women risk their lives on a daily basis, scouring the storm-bashed sharp rocks for a delicacy known as percebes.
This seems like the most inhospitable place on earth to come to do a day's work. Just walking down here was quite an effort. And now looking at what they're doing down there, it seems actually insane.
Percebes, also known as gooseneck barnacles, are sticky little crustaceans that have populated the oceans for millions of years. The ones found in Galicia are the kings of Spanish seafood. At certain times of year in Madrid, you can pay as much as €200 for a kilo. Which is why women like Mari Carmen take potentially fatal risks in pursuit of their precious bounty.
This is a bloody dangerous job to do. There wouldn't be much help if you fell in the water. Don't fancy your chances for long in that sea.
On average, 5 fishermen die every year in these choppy waters.
Hats off to her, I have to say.
Mari Carmen has been a percebeira for 30 years, braving the waters 5 days a week to collect these primeval-looking sea creatures.
This is the percebes. They're very strange-looking creatures. What is the life cycle of the percebes? I mean, how do they get here? How do they reproduce? How do they grow?
Se reproducen ellos mismos. Hombre es macho y hembra.
Sí.
Tiene el pene más grande, es el animal que tiene el pene más grande en proporción de su cuerpo, del mundo, ¿eh?
That's good.
Más grande que la del elefante aún, ¿eh?
Proportionately even bigger than an elephant's, she says.
Sí, en proporción de su cuerpo. Pues es así.
How long have these been so prized? Because they weren't always such a delicacy.
Pues antes era comida de pobres.
Yeah.
La persona que comía percebe era así como si fuera apartada. Era como si dijéramos, yo qué sé, ¿no? Pues marginales. Y ahora resulta que los marginales serán los ricos porque los pobres no los pueden comer.
Sí. So it's really interesting. It's only in the last, 28 years that these have become this prized delicacy that they are now. Before that, percebes were the preserve of the very poor.
It's that reversal in fortune for Persebes that has encouraged the women of the Costa del Morte to become persebera themselves.
La mujer aquí en Corme era una señorita. Trabajaban los hombres para las mujeres. Y entonces el hombre cuando venía, el dinero era de él. Entonces el percebe a la mujer cuando empezó a trabajar y tal, le dio una independencia de no depender de nadie, porque ganaba muchísimo dinero. Y antes no era así. Le dio la independencia completamente.
Have you ever thought of doing anything else?
No.
Never.
Soy jefa, hago lo que quiero, no manda nadie en mí, me siento cuando quiero, trabajo si me da la gana. Y soy así.
Mari Carmen is most definitely her own woman, and her relationship with Persebes is very much a working one.
Do you eat them?
Yo, en mi vida.
Why? Niente marisco?
Ninguno.
Why?
Ninguno.
¿Por qué?
Porque así no tengo ácido úrico.
Great, no, I'm really looking forward to this.
But I can't back out now. Having seen how hazardous they were to harvest, I feel duty-bound to try one in the local town of Corme.
Gracias. Mari Carmen has kindly cooked me up some of these persebes, and slightly apprehensive, I must admit. They're not the most attractive-looking things I've ever seen. But nothing ventured.
Con cachelos, patata con la monda.
Traditionally, they are lightly boiled with just a bay leaf and a pinch of salt.
Come si come?
Sí, como se comen así, mira.
Actually, they just taste of the sea. I'm not entirely sure that I would rush to eat these every day of my life. I mean, just how they look is somewhat off-putting. I've probably put worse things in my mouth, though.
Hay que acostumbrarse a abrirlos así, para que no te caiga el agua en la cara.
Ah, es bueno.
Sí.
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 Me gusta.
Sí.
Mm.
Ah, mira cómo aprendes.
So they're good.
Entonces puedes apuntarte en Corme para ir a apañar.
Thanks for the offer, but I think I'll pass. Because I'm heading inland to the forests of Castilla y León to learn about Spain's darkest secret.
It's shocking to hear that Spain, a country that's in Western Europe, part of the Western world, is only second to Cambodia in terms of how many people are buried in mass graves.
I'm leaving behind the Costa del Morte and heading inland to Ponferrada in Castilla y León. Just as surprising as the jagged, harsh coastline, the landscape here is lush, mountainous, and peppered with forests of pine and eucalyptus. If you venture into these dense forests, you'll find flora and fauna and, if you're here at the right time of year, wild mushrooms.
So you don't find mushrooms in the summer, obviously? Right?
No, the best months are November.
Mushroom expert Manuel is a 60-year-old veterinarian who's been mad about mushrooms since he was a young boy. I've met up with him and his son Oscar in a forest just outside Ponferrada. The weather here is very favourable to mushrooms. Hot summers, plenty of rain, and a very humid and damp climate. Come autumn, these forests become a pantry of different species of edible mushrooms. And, as I'm about to learn, some that are not so edible.
How many types of mushrooms are there here? And how many are edible?
You can eat like 100 and 120 mushrooms here, and there are like 1,500.
1,500?
Yeah.
So you've got some mushrooms here. Will you just show me?
Es un agaricus santoderma.
Yeah.
Santoderma significa piel amarilla.
Yellow skin.
Yeah. ¿Es comible?
No,
no, toxic.
Toxic. What happens if you eat them?
Problemas gástricos, náuseas, vómitos, intoxicación.
Vomiting, intoxication. How many types are the ones that are so toxic that they'll kill you?
Amanita phalloides es una seta de color verde.
Sí.
Bueno, no sé.
Is that the only one?
No, hay más, hay más.
Sí, ¿cuánto?
60, 70, 80 especies diferentes que nos pueden causar la muerte. Si las comemos, no pasa nada por tocarlas, por olerlas.
Sí, okay. To my horror, there's up to 80 types of very, very poisonous mushrooms. They might not kill you if you only ate one, you'd be very ill, but if you ate 6 or 7, you'd be done for.
These forests and this region may conceal an array of mushrooms, but they also harbour a dark secret, a part of Spain's history that would be impossible for me to ignore. It's easy to forget that Spain was in the grip of a fascist dictatorship as recently as 1975. General Franco had oppressed Spain for 36 years. That time saw the deaths of more than 200,000 men and women. Few were afforded a dignified burial. Most were thrown in mass graves strewn across Spain. Since then, Franco and the horrors of his regime have been buried too, erased from memory. All that changed in 2000, here in the remote village of Prieranza del Bierzo, the site of one of Franco's bloodiest civilian massacres. I've met up with Emilio, a journalist whose grandfather was killed in that massacre.
Hi, Emilio. I'm Alex. Thank you so much for meeting with me here. So, tell me about the significance of this place.
In this place, during 64 years, there was a mass grave.
Yes.
With no objects to know exactly the place. And in 2000, I arrived here asking the old people of this area. And one of them told me the mass grave, perhaps with the bones of my grandfather, is there, near those trees. I found the place, and a group of archaeologists and forensic doctors opened the grave. I want to identify my grandfather because I want to put the bones of my grandfather with the bones of my grandmother. And now they are both in the cemetery of my family.
Reuniting his grandparents led Emilio to form the Association for the Recovery of Historical Memory, a group dedicated to unearthing mass graves.
At the beginning, we say perhaps we have more or less 30,000 missing people in Spain. Now, today, we know 113,000 missing people.
It's a little-known fact, but Spain is second only to Cambodia as the country with the highest number of disappeared.
When the Franco's regime finished in 1975, the people who made our transition are most of them children of the Franco's regime, and they decide to create this very, very big silence.
Thanks to the work of Emilio and his association, that silence has finally been broken. Today, there is a single primary purpose to the association's work: the return of the victims' remains to their families.
How many people do you think you've helped reunite with their families?
We find in the last 15 years, 8,000 people in mass graves.
Yeah.
We can identify 1,200. I think it's very important to look for these missing people because we cannot leave the people in ditches like animals. We have to look for these people. We give the bones to the relatives, all of them, the old people, arrive the arm of the volunteers and say, now I can die in peace.
The association has a nucleus of 7 to 10 people who work from their small lab in nearby Ponferrada. The process begins with an email from a relative which might inform them about the details of a missing person and where they were possibly buried. Much like detectives, the team research the disappearance. If they have enough evidence, then the dig will begin. team, aided by volunteers, carefully sift through the earth, searching for clues or scattered bones. All the time watched on by locals and anxious relatives. Nicole is a volunteer who has journeyed all the way from California to work with the association.
Can you tell me what's happening here?
So what we're doing is we're looking for two men that were executed in 1942. I believe they had been hiding in the mountains. So around that time, the war had already ended. These men were arrested, they were judged, and then they were executed.
Summarily executed?
Yes, yeah. So these two men were supposedly shot near the south wall of the old cemetery, which is this wall here.
Yeah.
And then buried without any sort of casket. They were just shoved into a pit and forgotten.
What set off this particular investigation?
One of the family members of the missing men, the son, wanted to find his father before he died. He's got to be in his late 70s.
Do families find, does it help them find some kind of peace resolution or some kind of...
Yes.
I mean, that's what the process is about,
It's closure.
isn't it?
I think there's a need to bury and mourn the dead. One of the things they say a lot here is to give the families the right to decide how their relatives should be buried as opposed to the people who murdered them.
Yeah.
Death rituals are important. We crave that, and especially if you're a religious person, to think that that's going to lead to a more restful time in heaven or whatever, that's extremely important and it's powerful.
Below us, the team have unearthed a grim but potentially important discovery. They found the remains of a body. Now they must begin the delicate process of identifying it.
This particular individual is complete.
Yeah,
so that's they're also, my guess would be, looking to see if there's another body next to it or underneath it, because they should be buried together.
The problem is that they're looking for very clear evidence that they're dealing with a mass grave rather than just an ordinary burial. When you think about it, it's obvious. When you're exhuming a normal grave, you will find people who are buried in a respectful manner, i.e. with their hands by their sides or their hands crossed on their chest, the traditional positions that the dead are put into. In a mass grave, that is obviously not the case.
As the team's resident archaeologist, René oversees the excavations.
So can you explain to me some of the challenges of arranging an archaeological dig like this?
Pues cuando encontramos los cuerpos, lo primero que tenemos que saber y descubrir son el cráneo y la pelvis. Esas dos partes de los cuerpos nos indican si estamos delante de un cuerpo de un hombre o de una mujer. Son aspectos antropológicos forenses que nos permiten elaborar un perfil de esas personas. Y después, la otra parte más importante es buscar esas evidencias relacionadas con las causas de la muerte, como pueden ser los orificios de bala o también las fracturas en los huesos. Vamos a buscar...
Is it a satisfying job to do?
Sí. La verdad es que la mayor gratificación que tiene este trabajo es devolverle a las familias a sus desaparecidos después de 80 años donde ni el Estado español ni la justicia han hecho nada por ayudarles.
It's very important to shine a light on the past, on the historic past, because he feels that these people haven't been rendered justice.
This corpse will be carefully taken to their lab, where they will analyse the remains, forensically examining any physical data to try to prove beyond doubt the identity of the victim. If it is who they were looking for, they will then return the body to his or her family so they can finally rest in peace.
Completely blown me away to discover that Spain is only second to Cambodia with the numbers of the disappeared, as they're called here, in mass graves. I mean, I'm sure that almost nobody who you talk to would realise that.
Today has opened my eyes to a hidden history here in Spain. But thankfully, not all of this country's past is quite so bleak.
It's like dancing. I'm already really, really enjoying this.
headed back into Galicia and north to the port city of A Coruña. Often overlooked by travellers, it's an historic city with fabled beaches, impressive architecture and wonderful food, particularly pulpa a la gallega.
I love octopus, and pulpa a la gallega is my favourite way to eat it. When it's been boiled in a copper pot in the traditional manner, it's scalded 3 times and then served on a wooden dish. Very thinly sliced, with only 3 other ingredients: olive oil, salt and paprika. That's the traditional way, and I still think it's the best. This restaurant is reputedly the best place to eat pulpa a la gallega, and I'm so excited about it. Thank you very much. Oh, yum. Thank you.
Nice?
Delicious.
Thank you.
That is just a heavenly dish.
As a port city, A Coruña has always had an abundance of seafood and a strong reliance on the sea. And there's one iconic building that has watched over the ocean here for thousands of years.
I'm looking at the Tower of Hercules, which is the oldest functioning lighthouse in the world. It's been guiding ships around this part of the coastline since Roman times, and it's been refurbished many, many times in its wonderful career. It's an impressive structure, but even more impressive to me is the fact that it's stood here more or less in this form for over 2,000 years. And here in particular, you feel a very strong connection with the past.
If you have the stamina to climb the steps, the tower has magnificent views of the city and beyond. There's an ancient myth that suggests that Galicians could see north to Ireland from the top of the Hercules Tower. And it's true that there is a real connection between Galicia and Northern Europe. In fact, Galicia is still one of the 7 recognized Celtic nations, and the word itself means the land of the Gaelic people. Here, some still believe in Druidry, a Celtic religion connected to nature.
Hi.
Very nice to meet you, Joan.
Nice to meet you.
I'm Alice.
Joan.
Very nice to meet you.
Juan is a Druid very much in tune with his Celtic roots.
What you have here in Galicia, we believe, is one of the core territories of Atlantic Celtic culture.
As you travel around this region, it's not unusual to come across remnants of its Celtic past. Menhirs like these and standing stone formations called dolmens.
What are the significance of these stones to you personally?
The significance of this stone has to do with the place where we are. And right now we're at the base of a peninsula that's projecting itself into the sea. And that's what's really important, because the sea in Druidry or in Celtic religion was the land of the beyond, the land of the dead. So it's a monument to our ancestors. And then it has an historical significance, because you can find this here, and then you can go to Ireland or you can go to Cornwall, and you find the same thing. And you realize that there was a time when we were the same people.
So does the Celtic connection mean that you feel closer to other parts of the Atlantic fringe than you do to the rest of Spain?
Oh, definitely. I mean, the fact that Galicia is part of the Spanish state, it's an historical accident, really, because it was easier and faster to sail back and forth to the north and the south, like using the Atlantic Ocean, than riding your horse eastwards. If you wanted to take your horse and your chariot to the center of the peninsula, it would take you up to a month. If you wanted to sail to Ireland or go to Wales or go to England or go, you know, it could be a 3-4 day trip.
Yeah.
So, you know, for thousands of years, that was like our neighborhood.
Do you think the past is more vivid here in Galicia than it is in other parts of Spain?
Yeah, the past is alive here, of course it is, because there are things that are around you that you can just change and they shape your culture.
It's not only Juan who feels a strong tie with his past. Here they place genuine value on their cultural heritage. Another ancient tradition that Galicians are fighting to preserve is historical martial arts. These men and women are reclaiming the blade from the past. But this isn't fencing or historical reenactment. This is real competitive combat with actual weapons.
Looks like such fun.
Dennis is a 32-year-old web designer and the head of the group Galicia in Arms.
Dennis, I'm Alex. Nice to meet you. It's crazy. So tell me about this. What's going on here?
Well, what you're seeing is a class of historical European martial arts. The basic technique here is to defend yourself, first and foremost, and then to wound your opponent. To practice that, we pick books which were written in the 14th century, in the 15th, 16th, 17th centuries. We are reading those books, putting that into practice, and bringing it alive again.
Dennis has offered to give me a lesson in the art of fighting with a medieval longsword.
These are the tools of the trade.
Okay, good.
Right, so this is a longsword, right?
Yeah.
This is two-handed, mostly.
Feels good. I mean, I've never held a sword before. So it's... But, you know, I can... willing to give anything a go.
A longsword, all right? You said that you were right-handed?
Yes.
Well, you hold it with your dominant hand.
Yeah.
Near the hilt. This is the crossguard, the hilt, all right? And your left feet should be forwards, right? And from there, right, you're going to punch forward, right? It is always the sword first and the body afterwards.
Longswords were in use in the 14th and 15th centuries. These swords are made of solid steel and weigh as much as 2 kilos.
Follow, thrust. Strike, follow, thrust. All right?
Yeah. I'm already really, really enjoying this.
Unlike fencing, where the main aim is to score points, the objective of historical sword fighting is to get out of a confrontation unharmed.
Oh my gosh. It's like dancing.
It's a dance, but sword fighting is a dance with someone who doesn't cooperate.
Yeah.
Looks like I've got a lot to learn if I'm to master this ancient art.
Okay.
That's it, better?
It is a growing sport, and I can see why.
If you strike, this is perfect.
Such fun. Who knew? Definitely right up my street. Just think the older I get, the more I understand that it's all about passion and about how inspiring people who are passionate about the things they do are. You know, what do I know or care about medieval martial arts? But I am completely hooked.
In truth, all of Galicia is rich in passion. Nowhere more so than its most treasured city, Santiago. 1 hour south of A Coruña, Santiago is the spiritual heart of Galicia. For over 1,000 years, pilgrims have flocked to this magical city, walking the Camino de Santiago, an epic 500-mile hike. It's well worth the effort when they get here.
It is a stunning city. Beauty absolutely everywhere. Of all the places that I've been, this is somewhere that immediately, from the moment that you step into one of the squares, feels the most special. Architecture is stunning. A lot is hewn from the same colour stone, and there are endless flights of steps and little alleyways. You definitely feel the weight of the centuries here. And this is the last stop on my travels throughout Spain, and it feels like a very fitting place to end my journey.
Whilst I'm here in Santiago, I'm going to rest my head in a very historic hotel. The 5-star Hostal Reyes des Católicos is thought to be the oldest hotel in Europe. Commissioned by the King of Spain way back in the 15th century as a hostel for Santiago's exhausted pilgrims, it's had various incarnations since. At one time, it was a royal hospital, another an orphanage. Now it's a hotel, run by manager Julio.
I've heard rumours that this is the oldest hotel in Europe, although I believe there's other hotels that may claim that too.
We are considered to be one of the oldest hotels, not only in Europe, as well in the world. So obviously today it's a hostel for everybody, but it started to be a hostel for pilgrims in 1510. It got this function during more than four centuries. We can consider that as well as one of the oldest hostels in the world.
So considering how important Santiago is and how important this hotel is to the history of Santiago, you must have a lot of important visitors come here.
Well, obviously, Santiago is a very special city, and here many personalities, politicians or artists came for special events. I can say that during the history of the hotel, that many monarchs were staying here in our rooms. I remember in 1999, in the holy year, the Rolling Stones were staying here, Charlton Heston, Robert Barner, many American actors were staying here as well. Obviously, this is one special hotel, and when you decide to do an important summit here in Santiago,
this is where you come.
Yeah, that's right.
Since 1954, the hotel has been one of Spain's state-run paradors, and the many famous names that have stayed here would have no doubt indulged in the local cake of Santiago.
You cannot come to Santiago and not try the torta de Santiago, which is basically made of almonds.
I mean, the ingredients are almonds, eggs, sugar, and butter, and this is very popular. This is nearly like marzipan.
Looks delicious. It's very, very rich.
Yeah. For the diet, I don't think it's a good thing, but...
It's lovely.
Do you like it?
I absolutely love it.
Yeah.
This cake has welcomed arriving pilgrims since the Middle Ages. A much-needed lift at what is an emotional time, as I'm about to find out.
Congratulations. I found what I came looking for.
That was very moving. You know, this gentleman said he found what he was looking for. Must be an amazing sense of achievement.
It's morning in Santiago de Compostela. And like every other morning, the first wave of pilgrims are arriving in the city. This is their final destination, the last tired steps on the Camino de Santiago, the Way of St. James. Many have walked for over a month to get here, an emotional journey across northern Spain. Some are here to honor the Apostle St. James, others on their own spiritual quest.
250,000 pilgrims a year come to this office to get their certificate of distance. To get it, you have to have travelled 100 kilometres on foot or 200 kilometres on horseback or by bicycle. To achieve your certificate, you have got to get stamps along the way to prove that you've actually covered that distance. The atmosphere is kind of quite calm, unsurprisingly, as I'm sure that lots of these people are completely exhausted, having been walking for 30 or 40 days at a time. Must be an amazing sense of achievement.
For some, the experience is literally life-changing.
Did you like the Camino? Did you enjoy this? Like this morning, one foot was taking me forward, one foot was taking me back. I didn't want to. I wanted to be here, and I didn't want it to finish at the same time.
Yeah, it was quite hard, the Camino. Yes, but at the same time, it was fantastic. No?
I found what I came looking for.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay.
That was very moving, and You know, this gentleman said he found what he was looking for, and I don't know what that is, but that's always a good thing, isn't it? Find what you're looking for. I'm feeling very moved by the process, much more than I thought I would be.
The pilgrims all naturally congregate in the main square, one of Spain's largest and most impressive plazas. There may well be a lot of backpacks and blisters here, but it's impossible to resist the warm and jubilant atmosphere.
There's a lot of celebration, people embracing and shaking hands and high-fiving each other, whichever bit of the Camino you did. This is the final point. You know you've arrived, you know you've done it. You know, it's a kind of constant scene of celebration. It's lovely.
Daniela and her friends have just arrived in Santiago by bike. They've traveled 800 kilometers to get here.
You're happy you did it?
Mucho.
Very, very happy that she's done it.
Yo vi que es posible hacer de una manera. Esta fue la parte más importante para mí. Comprender que se puede hacer de una forma leve, disfrutando todo y con hacer toda la vida despacio, ¿sí? Sí. No es importante hacer y vivir rápidamente, no. Sí. Disfruta, ve todo, sea feliz. Le digo muchas gracias todo el día por todo, por comer bien, por amar, por ter amigos, familia. Y aquí en el camino eso se queda más grande, ¿no? Sí. Se queda importante, todo se queda más bonito.
It's so lovely what she just said, which is very kind of emotional and articulate. She's 42 years old, she feels young. But what she's realised is that it's so important just to get space, to get time in your life, to have time to enjoy life. And I think that's an amazing philosophy. If the pilgrimage teaches you that, then I think everyone should do it.
For many of the millions of pilgrims, this journey is primarily a religious one, and the final destination for them is the same today as it has been for 1,000 years.
This is the cathedral, and it's pretty awe-inspiring.
This cathedral is the reason the Camino came into existence. It is here that the relics of St. James the Apostle are believed to lie.
The last part of the ritual is to come here and embrace the statue of St. James so that some of his sanctity can be bestowed on you.
Pilgrims climb the stairs that lead to an area behind the altar where they queue up to kiss or embrace the statue, wrapping their arms around him in a hug. It's an emotional end to the journey. And as a Catholic, this is all very moving to me. But I want to know why it's still so relevant to so many today. To find out, I'm meeting the Dean in the cathedral's cloisters.
Perché pensa che così tante persone lo fanno ancora in questo mondo che è così noisy, che c'è così tanto rumore, che è così veloce questo mondo con l'internet, con viaggi, con aerei, con tutto quello? Perché
Esa es la razón justo. La persona necesita silencio, necesita encontrarse consigo mismo. Y en una sociedad como la nuestra, estresada en todos los sentidos, necesita de espacios, de momentos, de encuentros. Y eso se hace en la soledad del corazón, en el diálogo y el encuentro con las otras personas, y que está bellamente expresado en los distintos ritos, en los distintos momentos de la peregrinación.
It has become even more important for human beings to encounter silence and to encounter themselves. And he says it's like a therapy, and it's more needed than ever in our world of today.
The final flourish for many of the pilgrims is Mass in the cathedral, a very special experience in more ways than one. The botafumeiro is a giant vessel full of burning incense and red-hot charcoal which has been in use in the cathedral since the Middle Ages. Its original use was to clean the air of the pungent odour of unwashed pilgrims. Since then, it has taken on a religious significance. It takes 8 men called tiraboleiros and a system of antique pulleys and huge ropes to propel the botafumeiro. 75 kilos of silver-plated brass swings like an enormous pendulum above our heads, wafting incense as it arches through the air at speeds in excess of 68 kilometers per hour. I'd be lying if I said you feel completely safe.
I've never seen anything like that. It was completely mad. That enormous censer swinging wildly over everyone's heads. Probably a fitting end to this amazing journey throughout Spain that I've enjoyed so much every minute of. I've been surprised and amazed by so many things here, even the places that I thought were obvious tourist spots. I can't pick out one place because I've loved it all, every single minute of this trip. I'm glad I'm ending it here, though.